All right.
We are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicinda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. It's been a minute. My camera was down. We've been traveling. We've had a whole lot going on our team, but we are excited to be back to play Farewell to Arms Redux. The world of Mork Borg has gone to war, but rather than me telling you about it, as always, let's meet the creators of the game and have them tell you a little bit more about what it's all about. Josh, why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are, what y'all do, and a little bit about the game. We'll have Tyler hop in and fill in any gaps you leave.
I'm Josh, Josh Dunham. You probably know me by Astrolich as my moniker online and that sort of thing. Done a ton of Mork Borg stuff. Very excited for this project. And yeah, it's going to be, like you said, the whole world has gone to war. And we wanted to feature prominent parts of lore. In fact, Ty and I like to say it's a bit of a sequel hack because it expands upon these things while still being its own game. And so we're really excited to demonstrate some of the things that we've been cooking up, some of the things that we, are, I don't want to spoil too much, but we're very excited to show. And yeah, that's just me. I'm just one half of Rivethead Games, and yeah, Tyler.
All right, Tyler, why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are and a little bit more about the game?
Just, I don't know, I'm me. I started game design years and years and years ago, and then found out that tabletop games weren't as stupid as I thought they were, or tabletop role-playing games anyway, and moved into that, and here we are. Josh and I, worked really well together and got this company off the ground and did fairly well with the Kickstarter for this, and just taking it day by day and getting this thing done and ready to show some more of what we've accomplished. And yeah, I don't know if y'all want the elevator pitch or if we're kind of assuming everybody kind of knows a little bit about Farewell.
We know a little bit about it as players, but for the audience out there who's watching, anybody who stumbles across this video, why don't you go ahead and give us the elevator pitch anyways?
You're doing it to me.
I mean,
it's World War Mork Borg. And like Josh said, it is a sequel hack. So the world of Mork Borg, exists as it always has. Dying lands are still the dying lands. They just have changed, and they've got access to a new resource called Slagvara that is our way of explaining all these newfangled technologies that they have access to. And it's the cause of the war because it's this new resource that allows people to build weapons of war. So it's this recursive, horrible, vicious cycle thing that is pretty much what every war is about, right? Like borders, resources, and
yeah, one of the strongest things we want to do with this project, that we are doing with this, is having this anti-war message while still in a war game. And there's a lot to talk about there because playing in war can, even being anti-war, doubles back on itself to being pro-war if it's not handled correctly. And we really want to tackle that subject perfectly. We're going to do our best, but also like an environmental message as well. And seeing that the dying lands as they're being harvested for this Slagvara, the war is just, like Tyler said, it's doubling back on itself over and over again. So while this resource could be used to benefit everybody, instead they keep wanting to hoard more and more of it. And this Slagvara can take many different forms, and each of the different factions and the lore that you are already familiar with Mork Borg comes through with these different factions as they fight differently and as they interact differently. And it's just absolute chaos and carnage. And Mork Borg has always been a really good spot to kind of explore the darker side of humanity in terms of horrible things happen all the time. And you're playing it with the understanding of almost like this tongue-in-cheek nature of, yeah, none of this is good. Oh, I'm playing the gutter-born scum. Okay, well, what does that mean when you put it in a sequel hack where the war is going on? What do you do when you can't make any good decisions, and what are the outcomes?
Awesome. I'm super excited for all that. I'm glad nothing like the horrible exploitation of natural resources only for war machines would ever happen in real life. I'm glad it's a total fantasy. Matt, what was that face
it's
for?
cool. It's cool to think about like what the world would be like if that's how it was.
Yeah, if that's how it was. Also greetings to chat, Zilt, and everybody else who's out there watching. Good afternoon to you also too, wherever you're watching from. Glad to have you with us. We always use a couple different lines, a couple different tools here on stream to help keep us all on track and comfortable, especially since we play with different players and different designers on a regular basis. Those are lines, veils, and the X card, unless a system has another set of rules, and then we'll use that instead. Lines are things that may happen in the world of the game, but they don't happen in the course of our play of it. They are off limits. We have a strong line against sexual violence as a standard here on the channel, and sexual coercion. We also, veils are things that may happen in the course of the game, but we only handle them within a certain context, or if they come up, we just mention them and then move on, whether that's fading to black or just moving quickly past them. The X card is the ability for any player to say or type X at any point in time. Pause the game, identify what the issue is. It could just be, hey, I'm confused, or hey, I don't like what's happening right now. If we need to update our lines or veils, we'll do that, and then we'll move forward in a different direction. People don't have to explain why they don't like something. They can just say, I don't like that. The other thing that we use is an open door policy. So you may see us get up, move, talk, eat, drink, be normal people, and we will probably take a couple breaks as we play. Those are all normal things that we do to take care of ourselves. If you're out there watching, you should take care of yourself also. Take breaks, eat, drink, stretch as you need it. Thanks, Zilt. I have mostly my normal camera back. I'm a little bit oranger right now than I want to be, but only a little bit oranger than I want to be. But yeah, I finally got my camera fully replaced. Was very excited to have it up and rolling for this stream. But with that said, in addition to the lines that I already named, does anybody have any other lines or veils that they want to add to our list?
No, and just to kind of address that, we're taking pretty great pains to ensure we're not playing into, like, we do have shock in this game, but like we're not referring to it as shell shock or trauma or anything like that. It's just kind of it's a mechanic, but it's not directly addressing like
PTSD or anything like that.
PTSD or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, and anything else like slavery and stuff like that, completely off the table. And so just to be clear about that, there are horrors of war that we're there are displaced peoples for sure, but that deserves to be addressed. So
Cool.
And to double down on that too, one thing that we really want to convey to the audience about this game is that this is not just World War I or World War II or any war that you can name. The system is not designed to play soldier. It's designed to have a message. And that scenario of having like an analog or having like reproduction historical is not really where we would like people to play in this. I mean, we can't stop people from doing what they want to do, but word from the designers, like, we have no interest in, and you will never see us trying to mimic these sorts of things. And we would deeply encourage people who engage with our system. We have a free ash can out now to also think outside the box. There are ways to address issues without having to necessarily relive them or replay them or glorify them. And so that's a fine line for us when it comes to the system, because war is horrible. Ecological disasters are horrible. And unfortunately, we do live in that world. And it's important that we talk about them in a safe spot, that we can kind of dive and understand the nitty-gritty of it without actually having to relive those horrors. So
Cool. Love it. All right, cool. Well, with that said, again, we can also name more things as they come up and play. But with that said, I'm going to hand things over to Josh to take us into the world of Farewell to Arms.
all right. In the city of Grift, it is raining. But it is not your typical rain. Knives, bombs, bullets. They are hitting the city, your city, as rapidly as raindrops would. You are under attack by the cold, pale fingers of Anthelia's White Crowns, the army from the Icefell. Somehow, they've managed to circle around the continent and are waging direct war on you. This comes as quite the shock and quite the surprise. And you hear the screams and the cries and the death knells as the city is absolutely being bombarded. You find yourselves, as a unit, running for the armory and hearing your commander yell, "Grab something and get out there." And as you all run in, you're getting the choice, and these are all being plucked as quickly as you can. You will get one choice of a squad. This is a squad equipment to help you in this scenario. You can get a fire spitter, or you can get a Richter's machine gun. And you must choose quickly. Your commander is barking orders at you to get out there, defend the city. You are beggars of death. That
Fire
is what
spitter.
you are. All right.
We'll do it. Let's get fire spitter. Sounds great.
I mean, like we can only choose the one, or each one of us gets a choice.
No, one squad equipment.
Okay. Fire spitter it is.
All right, who's carrying this flamethrower device?
I am happy to carry it.
All right. So Tony, just so you know, it does D10 damage. It requires a slog. So we talked about this resource of slog var. You guys possess 4 uses of slog, unless any of you have also rolled during your character creation an extra usage. But your fire spitter will do D10 damage, and it will hit as many slog as you choose to put into it. So mechanically, you go ahead and attack, you roll, and you can choose to pump that up with more slog.
Okay.
This thing is mean, and this is what the Beggars of Death are known for. They may have the greatest navy in all of the Dying Lands, but they also wield fire, which is quite fitting, seeing that your city is now under siege. As you step out of this armory, you hear the boots, the combat boots of each of the fellow grunts, some wielding spy-handers, others have malevolent rifles, others nothing more than an entrenching tool that they could barely grab out of the armory. And as you step out, you see the horror, and you hear the rain. Immediately in front of you, there are white crowns. They wear their helmets, and they've got, you know, almost like this painted-on war paint of white crowns, what they're best known for. And Thalia's forces are deep in your city, and you are now facing them. Your commander barks the order, "Get them back!" And then literally, as soon as he starts to yell further orders, you hear as a sky crawler comes by and just starts. You can see people bouncing. You see the dirt flying up from the ground. Some dude with a sword is like, "What the hell am I supposed to do against that?" I need you all to go ahead and roll initiative. One person roll initiative, D6. 1 through 3, they go first.
2.
Matt, you run 2.
Oof. All right. They do attack. I need you all to make an agility defense roll, DR12.
That's just
That's
rolling a d12 then.
D12 plus your agility, that's right.
Uh-huh.
And if it's negative, well then,
So wait, hold on. You're going to roll a d20 against a difficult rating of 12. So you're trying to roll
Oh, I
over
see.
12 on
There
a
we
d20 plus your agility rating.
yes, thank you, Tony, yes.
You're good.
Thank you very much. That did not go very well for me.
Okay.
Same here.
Yeah, I got a
21.
15.
21-15, all right. So Tyler, your character is Vlasta, right? And then Quinn, your character is Rufus Tacklebox, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
correct. Mhm.
All right. I would ask you to describe your characters, but unfortunately you have gunfire coming right at you. So prepare your armor rolls. Rufus, you take 2 damage, and Vlasta 3 damage coming at you.
Okay. I
When
don't
do
have
you-
any armor, so I
Okay.
can't do an armor roll, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Quinn, if you have omens, you can use omens to either get a reroll or boost your roll. I
One
don't
Or
more
know.
negate
omen there.
damage.
What was that?
Or negate damage as well. So remember, your omens only regenerate at the end of the day, but yes, now would probably be a great time as you enter the fray.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll spend 1 to reroll, I think.
Okay. Kyle, where are you at?
I took 1 damage.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that hit me at 12, so do I get
As long as you hit the 12,
Yeah.
DR12, yes, you meet or succeed, and then you're good.
Great. Whew, okay.
Okay. So it feels as if you're going to be clutched, but actually, Vlasta pushes you aside up against one of the walls of this great city and actually takes the bullet in the shoulder for you.
Mm.
As you start to gain your awareness and your surroundings of what's going on, you're seeing all these structures. You're in a city. The cobblestone pathways are starting to be blown to bits. You see the attackers, your assailants, hiding behind corners, taking refuge in the town as they try to take this city from you. It is your play.
It's my play.
It's all your turn. Yep, that's their initiative. Your turn. Whoever wants to go first.
Remind me again. So we've got the plane going overhead. What else do we see in front of us?
Yeah, you see people running. There's a mother clutching a small body and weeping over it. You see people running in chaos. You see dirt flying up from missed bullets as people are discharging their rifles. But more importantly, what you see is a group of these white crowns as they're ducking and dodging and picking up and bang, firing, getting back down, it's just utter chaos. You can't hear much beyond these screams and these bullets just whizzing everywhere.
Okay. Question 1 then. Is there a place nearby that's high ground over where these white crowns are? Like, if they've got cover, is there a good angle to get on it?
At this point, you're in the middle of the city, so anything you can imagine for cover, another window, another spot you can jump into, fair game. You're like, there's hobbles everywhere, but you're looking for high ground. It turns out that what Vlasta pushed you up against happens to be a bell tower.
And Vlasta didn't mean to do this. He's this whole time been writing in his he's got a little leather-bound journal, and just kind of like tripped over himself and knocked into it.
Sees a small sparrow lighted on a branch across the trench.
Yeah.
Are powers and omens the same thing, or are they distinct from each other?
Powers are what you use to proc your scrolls, your war scrolls.
Okay.
Some abilities or specialties use them, but
mine says roll +2 powers, but it doesn't tell me what I'm rolling, and then adding +2 too. Do you know what that would be for the Radiant Banner Man?
Oh, that's in the that's base Mork Borg D4.
D4. Okay, I wanted to make sure before I assumed.
D4 plus presence, and then you're getting additional 2 for your Bannerman.
Cool. All right, so I got plenty of this. So then I am going to use Shining White. I'm going to spend a power, and my siblings at arms are emboldened by my presence. It says they may choose to either gain D2 omens / powers, heal D4 damage, or gain +2 to their next D3 roll. So I'm going to go ahead and, that my banner that's fused to my spine, whipping out behind me, that has a ashen rainbow across it, is going to whip in the wind, inspiring all of you as this horrible plane goes overhead. But you can gain D2 omens or powers, heal D4 HP, or gain +2 to your next D3 rolls.
Choices.
I'm taking an omen, thanks.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the +2 to my rolls.
+2 to my next
2 rolls for me.
next 2 rolls from me too. Okay.
Nice. All right. Very consistent. Yeah. Tony, what was your character's name? I apologize.
I don't think they have a name for sure. I think people just call me Bullseye because I do stand out quite a bit on the nobody's bothered to learn it.
Yeah, so as Bullseye kind of rallies the rest of you, and of course you have allies around you who are either falling to the gunfire or either running for cover or maybe being shot by the seraphim that is flying overhead. But literally your flag starts to blaze, and then as the plane comes by again, it literally changes the course of the wind for a split, blows the other way before it comes back. It's magnificent. The sigil of the beggars of death, of grift. You will fight. You will defend your city.
Yeah. Okay. So for us to actually get these kind of benefits, we actually kind of like touch you and feel the power of your presence. And yeah, I just reach out and grab that banner and unfurl it more to make sure it's not tattered up on itself.
The hem of the garment.
I think that Detriment Breaks the Creation is inspired by this, and we can see the planes overhead. We can see like the soldiers, the white crowns, coming through the city. Correct? Yeah. So I think Detriment Breaks the Creation is going to raise their hands. They're like swathed in cloth and bandages on their hands and their feet, and their face is obscured partially by a gray hood. And then they will raise their hands and then clap rhythmically 6 times, and then they will create a storm. They will storm dance.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice. Which storm are you beckoning?
I am beckoning time. So I roll 66. Lots of lively dice.
The mechanic on this is super enjoyable, by the way, just as a whatever.
The battlefield becomes an array of possibilities, literally. Everything that can happen is laid bare before you. So roll 66, choose the sum of any 3 dice, and refer to results. All right, so I'm just picking the highest because that's what I normally do. 15. 15 gets me 10 to 15. All enemies test morale at -2.
Wow. Damn. All right. Not even a battle, or not even a bullet fired from the beggars yet. So -2. Oh, okay. Yes,
That
matters.
flag unfurled, man. I mean, come on now.
No, you barely clutched it. Yeah, you clap, boom, 6 times. And as you're clapping, it's as if reverberations through the air, this faintest light blue, kind of just for a moment, as if it were an overcast, and then comes back to reality, whatever that means for an embedded one. And the White Crowns simply stop, sling their rifles back over their shoulders, and walk back away from you into the city. You have successfully cleared out all of my enemies. Oh, nice. Nice. Now you secured this part of the town.
Now we just want the day to go very quickly so I can do it again tomorrow.
All right. I think what I want to do, if I'm near a bell tower, I don't need the high ground for that, but I'm thinking the bell tower. So one thing I have here, I don't know how much power I have. That wasn't part of the things that I was.
Yeah, sorry. D4 plus presence.
D4 plus presence. Okay, just real quick, let me get that in. Okay, cool. I can live with that.
Because you have a war scroll, correct?
I don't think so. Let's see. Old World Engineer. It doesn't look like I have one.
No,
Okay.
he shouldn't have one.
Yeah. However, what I do have is, of course, so what you want, in which you construct a mobile rocket battery. If there's all of these aircraft, what makes sense to me is to stick this battery up somewhere high and do some anti-air.
Nice.
Very
All right.
nice.
So you're rushing into the tower to do so.
Yeah.
It sounds like. Okay.
Yeah.
So as you start rush, go ahead, Tyler.
Do we want to just quickly, like, we kind of ran through that quickly? Yes, this is the old world engineer. He builds battlefield, buildings and things, and so he's rolled. So Hwacha wants, where he builds a Hwacha on the battlefield.
So you're rushing into the tower at this point to establish your rocket battery, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you start rushing in and you're grabbing your tools out of your belt and you're starting to, okay, and you're going through the schematics in your head. And what surprises you is that there's a White Crown already there on the stairwell. This is a small tower of just a spiraling stairwell. And as soon as you meet them, they've got bayonet drawn towards you. He's just as shocked as you.
I've got a sidearm that can in fact be fired in melee.
All right. The
No
Colt
ammo
45.
requirements. The Colt
All right.
45.
Go ahead.
So this is a roll to hit type deal.
Yep. So it's going to be your D20. You're going to do a DR12 presence test.
Presence, huh? Okay, that's 14.
Nice. Okay, go ahead and roll the damage. I believe it's D4.
Indeed, it is. That's 2.
Okay. Yeah, you hit him. You fire as he pulls the bayonet down towards you to kind of.
Yeah. I ran in, like the way that I'm seeing is that like I run in, I bang the door, and like he turns around super shocked, and like we're both like scrambling for our stuff at the same time, but I get mine out first.
Yeah,
and
you
I
shoot him.
just but like not very well. Like I can only imagine I wig him unless the 2 damage got him, but I don't think it did.
You hit him pretty hard, but it turns out the armor that he's wearing, he still absorbs the impact.
Yeah.
In terms of actually, downing this enemy soldier, not that you can tell.
Yeah,
But
I did think so.
Definitely shake them. Yeah.
So I definitely so it's kind of a panic spread, I would say, and I call over my shoulder, I need backup in here.
All right, everyone. Velocity, did you go already? You were touching bullseye in terms of inspiration.
I did. So, I hear his shouts and run up the stairs, not because I'm like particularly courageous, but because I'm kind of the keeper of record for our squad. So whenever I can observe something of interest, I'm there for it.
All right, yeah. As you rush up the stairs, you make 1-2 rounds. You can sense just kind of a general awareness of your surroundings, that you're about halfway through this tower, and then you see Tacklebox sitting there against, having fired against this White Crown soldier that has not been down, but it's definitely been, the wind knocked out of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, when Vlasta sees somebody that's easy pickings, he's actually a pretty good shot. So, yeah, he pulls his shoot. I forgot what I had. Oh, he's got a Schleswig sprayer, just like the Chicago typewriter over here. So he does D6 damage per ammo spent.
Okay, I'm going to rule that because the tower is circular in kind of how it's going up, the baseline for clarification of this tower is just completely void.
Okay.
So you might want to be careful there. But because of that, it will give you a direct line. We'll consider you not in melee for that and just be a regular firearm test. So presence DR12.
Okay, nice.
Just don't fall in.
That's a 13.
All right, that's going to hit.
All right. I'll just spend the 1 ammo.
Okay.
6.
Ooh. Unfortunately, you do get him. And so as one shot goes off, Vlasta runs up and gets him again. This one does seem to do damage. You seem to draw blood. And this hits him hard enough that, boom, pushes him back against the wall. So now instead of having this bayonet ready, you're now pushed against the wall with all this impact of just metal slugs pelting into this dude. You said you rolled a 6? Okay, yeah. So he's actually pretty badly hurt. In fact, I would even deem drawing blood means there's probably quite a few red patches on him. So.
Gotcha. But now the initiative rolls back around, right?
Right. So now I need one of you So Mads, you rolled the last one. Someone else rolled another D6. Let's see where we go.
Tony?
I got it. 6.
Okay, you guys will go first. Fortune favors the bold.
All right. If it's all right, just to get us out of this jam, I guess the safe thing is just to shoot him again, probably. Seems like
war.
the safe option.
That has been a long and tried strategy, yes.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gun, I'm going to point it at him, and I'm going to shoot him with it. That's my plan.
For such a complicated action, I'm going to need you to make the same roll as you did last time.
Gotcha. Great. Yeah, no, that's fair. Nothing wrong with a strict DM. That's what I always say. That's going to be a 19.
That will hit. Go ahead and roll your damage.
Oh, that'll be 3.
Nice. Okay, cool. So at this point, being literally littered with bullets, they're going to attempt to surrender. Like just bang, 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 and just please, and just drops his rifles, please, and clutching himself in pain, and you can see the blood on their hand. This is the invader of your city. This is one of these people who's completely responsible for the chaos going on. You've stopped them, and now they're begging for their lives.
Is this still my call here? Like, I'm just like, okay. I think what if we're playing into this, I think probably like I fire most of the clip, and he starts begging. I still have a bullet left, and I'm panicking. So I finish the clip out. Bam, dead.
There's somewhere in Kyrgyz, in a hovel, an older woman who sits reading a letter by the hearth, never realizing it's the last letter that she'll ever get from her son.
Nice.
She's never told. She's never, as far as she's concerned, he just left and never came back. But Rufus knows. Maybe not about the mom, but Rufus knows exactly where that white crown was laid to rest, shall we say, eloquently.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we've got Velocity there.
Rob the Iron Griff.
Velocity, I'll jump over to you. You're observing this. This is part of your character class as a bit of a scribe here. The despondent interpreter.
What am I doing? Sorry.
I'm just going over to you. You're the despondent interpreter. You're saying, I'm running up here to witness something. You just witnessed bang. Now, in the heat of the moment, it may not seem as cold as it seems in Kyrgyz, if that makes any sense. The cold winds of Kyrgyz don't seem to blow over you the same as an ice cold murder might.
I mean, he literally just jots it down like he's mostly just an analyst, you know. He's here to observe and see and
Velocity's like, interesting.
yeah, like yeah, oh, that's what brains look like. Maybe he jots down like the pattern on the wall.
Oh God. Going back to Bullseye and Detriment breaks the creation. You guys are back on street level and you don't even hear the gunshot because there's just so much going on. Again, it feels like it's raining because you can see these flechette knives dropping on your town in the distance. The roaring of the Seraphim Skycrawler has not stopped. Neither has its guns. You can hear in the distance tons of fire.
They've gone up a level. How tall is this bell tower?
It's got to be at least 3 levels. I mean, not to be snarky, but it's not like we all carry the blueprint around, but it's tall. It's taller than the highest, to give an example, think of like a church steeple, but the steeple stands erect by itself.
That's fine. Essentially, it's easy to know that they probably have not made it to the top. Right. Whatever they're doing, they're not all the way up. Cool.
It seems that way, yeah.
And they've abandoned this section of town. I think for me, like, I'm going to start just like looking for easy things to move around to kind of like, it seems we're kind of trying to base in on this section as our now cleared out base of operations. So I'm going to start just moving rubble and other things into position to try to create a little bit more of a blockade to keep people from immediately being able to rush back in.
Gotcha. Yeah, so as you do so, go ahead. So here's another mechanic that we have introduced. It's kind of similar to the cyborg mechanic of cover. So all of you who are now standing around this barricade or hobbling around it, shall we say, you will receive light cover, which will give you pluses or bonuses, pluses or minuses, depending on what side the roll is facing, of a +2.
Okay.
So in terms of dodging, you're going to have an easier time dodging. In terms of if they were under cover, it'd be harder to hit them, that sort of thing. So you now have some cover, light cover.
Cool.
Just
Yeah,
leaves.
I think Detriment breaks the creation can only, help Bullseye because they've kind of expended their big bucks move for the day. And then like they just have like I guess it would be single shot, the malevolent rifle and the sword or sword. So I mean, like, they can keep ground forces at bay, but they can't do anything big, than what they just already did. So
as you two start to move the rubble, what bothers you most is not necessarily that your home is under fire, but as you've rushed out of this, I won't call it a bunker, but this underground kind of barracks, the folks who rushed out with you that weren't as lucky, and as you move their bodies aside from the slick streets of Crimson, it dawns on you that whether or not you were familiar with these individuals or whether or not you're even friendly with these individuals, that they did give up their lives for their home. There's not a greater dishonor for the beggars of death than to have their life taken from them. Is your motto, one of the oaths that you commit to is by my own hand. King Sigfum would be proud for their sacrifice, but at the same time, you can't help but feel that stirringness of sorrow and anger as they mix into this muddied human emotion that only you individually can express.
Just real quick, I don't want Mads to get shortchanged on your character. when you rolled time as your storm, you actually get your weapon and your armor based on that. So you don't have like the same kind of weapons and armor that everybody else does.
Oh, okay.
Your weapon is you can rewind time, so you roll the same attack as somebody else did this turn.
Okay, great.
And then you're covering your armor is you can fast forward time. So whenever you get hit, you just take another turn immediately.
Oh, okay. So basically, like, the gifts equals the weapon, and then the coverings equals the armor for the embedded one.
Cool.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
because
gonna
they
do that.
exist, outside of the standard supply, structure.
Fantastic. I'm gonna go ahead and put that
And to
in the same
double
column.
clarify something, just to make sure I heard right, you said single shot on your malevolent rifle. Was that because you only rolled one ammo, or?
Well, I mean, because I was thinking a rifle, right? I mean, I think it's like
Yeah,
single
it's
shot at a time. It's not a submachine gun or anything.
No,
like
no, right. So yeah, just to make sure and to clarify, so make sure you all have rolled your ammo, and then every time you take a fire with your weapon, you're going to make sure that you take one down, and then the ammo re-rolls. It's very akin to Omens in the sense of it works in the morning. So
because basically, because of the gifts and coverings, I imagine that I did not see anything for silver or ammo under embedded one. So
Right.
it's kind of like,
No
that's
use
a
for
payoff.
yeah, it's like,
But you do have your shorter sword, which can be fastened as a bayonet, so you're not completely defenseless. And yes, you have your gifts and your coverings, so those are going to be bread and butter.
Cool.
okay, great. All right, thank
All
you.
right, you take your turns, right? Okay, I think that's everybody.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
the enemies.
I didn't really take a turn per se.
Oh.
I didn't
Oh, that's
for
true.
Okay,
sure.
go ahead.
I will, kind of pop my head out one of these upper floor openings and see what they're doing down low, and let them know, like, don't forget to have that fire spitter at the ready.
Mm.
As you do so, before you can quite utter those words, you utter them out, you get them out, but before you can utter them, what you see horrifies you even more. Yes, the immediate area seems to be cleared in terms of enemy forces, but what you see is fires breaking out further down the city. You see the Seraphim Skycrawler again just making rounds. Luckily, it doesn't appear to be at your particular position at the moment, but you can just see these rooftops and buildings of varying height levels. And you can even see in some of the streets that just align to your particular perception of the situation, white crowns, and then you hear gunfire, and then you see beggars running, and it just seems to be this absolute free-for-all. You see people popping out of windows, some of them non-combatants, some of them are combatants, just to get a look around, and some of them not so lucky, shall we say. And it's just absolute chaos. And then as you utter the words to your fellow grunts and your comrades, you hear a very low roar quickly zip past your head, and you see what looks to be a white crown with some semblance of a self-propulsion flight system as they are kind of just coming by, and they have in their hand at the ready just a bomb to drop. Just some semblance of a makeshift Slagvara explosive device.
Oh, we need the fire spitter out of that. We can.
Which is
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Actually, is Slagvara typically a power or a special ability of enemy units, like using it?
All factions are using the slog for this
For
fell
different
purpose
things.
of
So
waging
it
war.
can just be equipment, correct?
It's more akin to that. Yeah, everyone's trying to
Okay.
procure this item.
That's
So
what
you in
makes
particular with your fire spitter, you can imagine as some type of gas or maybe some type of
Yeah,
liquid,
for sure,
or maybe
for
it's even
sure.
a crystalline. But yeah, it's different for
Yeah, and
each
in the longer campaigns in the campaign books, it will be a resource that you're going to have to procure. If you're blowing it up every time you come across it, then you're going to have far fewer uses of your squad equipment, right?
Mhm.
So it's something you're going to have to like collect and use and find and collect and use.
But the payoff is every time they either strip mine this or they, crack for, or whatever you want to terminology, whatever terminology you want to use, it is destroying this world. So in addition to the war and the scars of bombs and the fallen bodies, there are people who are literally just out in a field defending some dumb pump just to pump this electric blue, whatever form it may take out of the ground.
Cool.
And that's what you're fighting over. That's what this has all been about. And you kind of realize that as you hold this fire spitter, that somebody somewhere probably fucking died for this.
Okay.
So that way you can kill.
I mean, I'll take a shot at this this flyer by with
Yeah,
it
okay.
too.
As you do so, I'm going to take my initiative first because you're still building kind of that sort of thing,
Sure.
and then I'll let you kind of respond
Absolutely.
in a thematic way as they come by. Luckily, both Bullseye and Detriment, you guys you're now behind some cover that you've manufactured yourselves. I'm going to need you to go ahead and make that agility test. It's going to be a DR 10 because now you got your cover. So it would normally be 12, and we'll reduce it down to 10. As this low roar, this rocketeer of the ice fell, drops their payload.
I did roll a natural 20.
No fucking way.
Hold on.
What'd you get, Mads?
All right.
Don't get in that one. We can do something
God
cool.
dang it. All right, hold on. I can do math. I really can. 12. What was the DR?
10. You're just looking for 10.
Okay,
So,
good. Phew.
so Tony, because you got the 20, we're going to do that cool thing you wanted to do. Go ahead and attack them first. You see the fingers coming off of this device, and you just, and you brandish your fire spitter. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Am I using strength or presence for this?
This would be a presence.
Presence. So that's going to be a 17.
Nice. Go ahead and roll the damage. How much slog you pumping into this bad boy?
Just one, I think.
Okay.
That's a 10 on a 10.
Ooh. So Bullseye, have you ever seen an immolation up close?
Has Bullseye ever seen an immolation? Of course. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so then this is customary. You already knew what was going to happen before you pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the munition in their hand doesn't escape, and the fire actually causes them to clench tighter, and just boom, this thing goes off.
What if I use rewind?
I mean, it's going to be far enough away that's not going to hurt anybody. Just to clarify.
Okay.
So if you still like to, that's absolutely fine. But it's not. It's far enough away. He's high enough of an elevation that it's going to be okay.
You're just saying because of the 20, we get to see a cool firebomb in the sky instead of a.
Oh, you eliminated him before he could drop the bomb, so
Okay.
he doesn't even get this attack.
Okay. All right. That's the important part. I just want to make sure that, if I have to cut him off at the pass, I will. But if it's away from us, that's fine.
Okay.
Well,
cool,
it
cool.
is for this entire round. So it's whenever you choose to act. That's
You can
available.
do it you can do it when you want to. You are totally free to do so. I just want to make sure that you weren't spending this in a way because my narration might have made it seem more deadly than it is.
Yeah. Again, just making sure that it's not affecting anybody. Sort of caught in time, but yeah.
Yeah. So game mechanic wise, no one's going to be hurt by this.
Okay.
Just
Great.
to clarify. However, being so close, Vlasta and Rufus, you hear this great impact right outside of the tower. And the floor below you doesn't quite fade away entirely, but this almost like this black hole of electric blue just kind of sparks all around it, and then there's like this crescent moon shape just dug right out of the floor below you. You can still go down. You're gonna have to jump, but the tower seems to maintain its integrity for the most part. But you hear this rumbling, this. And it just fades out of nothing. Well, that was my turn again. You guys, you realize as you sit here, if it hasn't become apparent, that even though you may repel other enemies, they're going to keep coming. And it's most likely, from your knowledge of the city, that they've established a beachhead somewhere. And your best bet is probably going to be to continue to drive them back. If you wait for them to come to you, well, let's just put it this way. That strategy doesn't seem to be working right now.
Yeah.
I think I'll call up basically telling you to figure out where, basically where should we be headed? Like, get the lay of the land.
You
Yeah.
call
Yeah. Okay. Then I guess just. I mean, I look down. Definitely take a moment to look at the missing stairs and just like grit my teeth, and then keep going, keep running up to the top. Anything in between me and the top floor?
No, as you run up, you manage to clear it. But as you look at that hole, you're living in a world where everything is ruined and everything will never be perfect. And that is so frustrating for you to want to fix things and create things.
Yeah.
And they just, especially in a war type setting, just always seem to slip through your fingers. But you put that quietly aside and you rush up to the top of the tower and you see everything.
Yep.
And
okay. Yeah, so things to identify. One, the beachhead.
Yep.
Like, in which direction are these motherfuckers coming from?
From your perception, if we're going to just do kind of like a cardinal direction, so let's say the first brigade of riflemen that Detriment was able to deter, they fled kind of back towards that beachhead. We'll just call that north.
Sure.
So in that regard, it seems, and you see the other smaller frigates or other ships or whatnot that were defending Grift are either engaged with sky crawlers themselves or seem to be locked in some semblance of combat with other ships from the White Crowns. What you do notice is that the key capital ship that has kept you guys so safe, the Prometheus, has been gone. Not destroyed, it's just nowhere to be seen.
Well, that causes a whole lot of despair in my heart. But here we are. I guess, how many skycrawlers? I guess my question to you, I imagine that my character would be able to make this determination on his own. Is it worth putting this rocket battery up here to take out this skycrawler? How many more are there out there? Like, is this a good use of time and resources?
Well, let's put it this way: they brought enough that they really think they can take your city. So there's definitely, there's numerous amounts of planes. With you trying to stop and count everything, it becomes confusing in the chaos of the smoke and the different bombs that you hear going off. You even see other Rocketeers, these low roars just popping up and down from the city, dropping either more knives on people or other munitions and that sort of thing.
Okay, I think I know what
to answer your question, like, hey, at least you'll get this one off your back.
Yeah, totally. Okay. So then, crew, team, just so we know, were I to do this, if I build this thing and fire it, it's going to cost us 2 out of our 4 team slag.
And one slot's already been spent by Bullseye.
And do we start with any player creation, or the 4 is what we get based on the core rules, 1 for each player, right?
Question. I have rolled up a raw piece of slag. Is that useful?
So we're up to 5. Okay. So to kind of do the math on all of this, core, what we've been playtesting with, just because, again, this is supposed to be part of a campaign, so you will acquire this, so you'll have like a stock load of how much you want to bring with you next fantasy. For the purpose of this one shot, we're going to go and say, hey, there's 1 for each player, just for a balanced perspective. However, our pale one, or our embedded one, excuse me, seems to have an extra. So you are down to 4 now.
Okay. Yeah.
And the Hwacha does not fire at a single thing. It will fire at, you'll fire it into a crowd or fire it into, multiple sky crawlers or multiple roar.
I was trying to figure out the scale of the sky crawlers. So they're more like individual fighter planes than like a big bomber. Okay.
More akin to that, yes.
Great. Then, yes, I think this sounds like a cool plan. Everyone else is
also, I think your character should do the cool thing your character is designed to do in any sort of session.
Absolutely. Show it off.
I'm up here. There's like, there's like the big arches and everything. I think this is a good spot to plonk down a rocket battery. So I'm gonna open my pack, start cannibalizing parts from the clock tower, and just get to going.
Nice.
Do I need to roll to build this, or do I just spend?
Nope. Just go ahead and mark it off your sheet there. Yeah. So you pull out this box, and each of these little I would say arrows, but they don't look like arrows. They have like some bag of dripping, bleeding blue coming at the end of each of them. It's smaller pieces of slag that's been fastened to each of these projectile devices.
Yeah.
You grab the rope from the bell tower, you know, cut that, you unwind it, and you make yourself a makeshift fuse, so that way you're not standing right next to this damn thing. You'll lash it together real quick, and off to the races. You tell me when you pull the trigger.
Killer. Yeah. I mean, I maybe wait for a moment, get a sense of kind of the patterns, if there are any to be found of those guys, and push the big red button. Or maybe even like I don't even see it as a button. I kind of see this more as like those old like with a crank on the side, like a big heavy crank, and it just fires off like a big fucking salvo.
Can I take my turn to do a presence test to help him make sure he hits as many as possible?
Sure, yeah, go for it. We'll just give you a DR12, you know. Yep. Spot him.
Crap.
Did you remember that you get +2 to that roll?
I do get +2, but that's still not enough. I'm gonna spend my one omen to, I guess, lower the DR. It was an 11, so.
Okay, yeah, so that'll make it. Yeah, so go ahead and roll me a d6.
6.
Nice. Okay, so there's 6 of them that you think you can immediately target from this position.
Damn.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good to me.
So you were launching this to clarify, like out over the town, trying to get enough of these almost.
Just trying to clear out the sky.
Exactly. Yeah. You go ahead and roll. We'll do, to keep it simple, give me one attack roll. It'll still just be a presence DR12.
Yeah, I'm re-rolling that.
Now remember also with omens, the way we like to play it is we'll still, one of the omens you can minus a DR by 4. We like to play with retroactive because omens are valuable. So if you rolled something, 4 within the span of 12 there, you can spend the omen just to automatically get that success.
Almost, but not quite.
No cigar.
So
you're re-rolling it then?
12.
Very nice. Okay, now get to rolling here. So you've got D12 of them. Okay, so let's see how many rockets you got.
Does this count as squad equipment?
No.
No, that's the fire spinner.
Didn't think so. Cool. Yeah, that is going to be 5 rockets.
Okay, so you're only going to be able to target 5 out of the 6, obviously. I need you to roll me 5 D2. You can just roll the same D2 multiple times, but you take it one by one.
All right. Okay, that's 1.
Okay, hold on.
2.
That plane you hit.
Yeah.
But it seems when it hits it, you can see the concussive impact as it kind of dips on its wing a little bit, but you only seem to have left a scorch mark on that Seraphim.
Okay. All right. Just got 2.
A 2? Same thing with that one, unfortunately. You hit it on the underbelly that kind of comes up underneath and it impacts it. And this one jostles kind of forward and kind of nosedives for a bit before it can actually save.
I got another 2.
Okay. Okay, that one you got. And that one, I think you actually killed it. That one you hit and it goes straight into the cockpit. And comes through the propeller and just boom, and you just see this fireball. It doesn't become, it's no longer a sky crawler, just for the longest time before boom, and you can see some building get absolutely decimated. The payoff.
A 1.
Ooh, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you hit that one, but it implodes just before taking the tail off, and you see this black puff of smoke just kind of fade behind it.
And a 2.
Okay. Ooh, okay. You hit this one, and you seem to damage it. You take a chunk out of its arm or whatever kind of slag-plated coating that it has, and it takes a big old hole out of the tail. Unfortunately, it seems to last just long enough that it can still kind of even out, and it kind of slowly limps back towards the bay. So while not destroyed, it seems to at least be incapacitated for the moment.
Yeah. Okay, that's not the worst result.
No. Everybody in the town of Grift is looking up and they see just
Yeah.
flying overhead. It just adds to the confusion. There's so many things flying around here, so many things falling from the sky, adding a couple more explosions to it. Again,
Where did the destroyed one land or run into, or
off into the town. So if you're looking, if north is kind of where it's, you know, the battle seems to be headed, they land kind of off towards the west or whatnot, and just absolutely just go up in this giant blue flame.
nice? Did it destroy any buildings?
From what you can see, yeah, somebody's now without a home. Some poor sod's farmstead is just completely evaporated from, well, the onslaught. People are losing much more than their lives here. Sometimes it's their livelihood. Sometimes they're just losing their way. Let's pray that
I'm all like, kick ass, bro.
I don't know how victorious Rufus is. Actually, yeah.
It comes with a price. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, did you absolutely destroy the enemy in some case and scenario? Absolutely, but you're fighting in your front room. You're fighting in your own home almost, and so whatever destruction you wrought is going to be literally wrought in your presence.
It is still work in progress too. So-
Also, it's hard to feel like it's enough is all.
I mean, dude, so
Yeah.
when you two were up there in the bell tower, you saw where they were like, starting to get a foothold.
Yeah. Well, kind of. I guess probably before I start firing, or maybe even before I start building, that should have been my first priority. Is just to call down and be like, they're coming from the north. We're gonna fire a salvo. Let's head out. And so then everything goes out, and I think the two of us start making our way back down, and you guys.
Now this
go.
once it's built, it is mobile.
It's
If
mobile,
you
but
remember,
it's also
Watcha are actually on wheels, so you can move this thing.
well, it's on wheels at the top of a tower. I don't know where it's moving to.
I mean, it's
Like,
easier
I
to roll
wanted-
something down steps than it is to roll something up steps. You know what I'm saying?
You can ride it. down, so.
Unfortunately, a lot of Grift architecture is not Watcha accessible, but you can always try.
No, my idea, my plan was once I got down to just find some random dude and be like find some slag or whatever and keep that thing firing.
Yeah,
Just get it automated.
Yeah,
You're teaching them how to fish, and then they can fish forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Teach him. Well, give a man a Watcha, he destroys for a day.
Yes.
Teach a man how to Watcha, he destroys for a lifetime.
Oh, that's great.
Excellent.
All right, yeah. As you rush down in the chaos.
Yeah,
and
I
you
have
can
an
still
idea.
hear it.
I have an idea for this if I'm allowed to.
No,
find
please go
somebody.
for it.
Yeah, but I just imagined like some 16-year-old with a helmet that's too big for him, like clutching his rifle that probably doesn't even have any ammo, just like absolutely no idea what to do, completely terrified. I just like grab him by the shoulders and I'm like, you up there is a gun. Your whole job now is to go up there and just keep shooting.
Yeah.
He rattles in his helmet. You can see the spring from his rifle has cocked out and is now jammed it, so it's not even worth anything anymore. And you come out of this haze in his brain, and just boom, all he sees is his face, and he doesn't even hear half of what you said, but he nods, and you can just see that 1,000-league stare that has glossed over his eyes. But he obeys, and he runs up the bell tower. You can even see from the hole of him trying to jump, and he scrambles and barely makes it up the hole in the second floor there, and just continues to run. And you see a little, shaking helmet bobbling up and down from your position as he's trying to make sense of this. And maybe you saved his life.
Detriment will call over to Rufus and say, Did you tell him to bring slag?
Oh. Anybody got any slag?
It feels like it's about to take a break.
Yeah.
as you look at the camera and say, anybody got any slag? Randy said to take a short little 5-minute break, so I can go grab a glass of water. We can take care of whatever else we need to, but we'll be back in just a couple minutes to keep on playing Farewell to Arms Redux, compatible with Mork Borg hack set in a world torn apart. We'll be back in just one moment. And we are back here playing Farewell to Arms Redux, a Mork Borg hack or future hack or supplement that takes the world of Galgenbeck and throws it into a world torn apart by war. We were starting to get into some really good questions from Mads while we were on break about some of how their class works, and so I was like, let's kick live and ask the question there. But talking about how the single role kind of builds the flavor of that entire embedded one class. But Matt, you had another question you were going to ask also.
Yes. So specifically about the gift, which acts as the weapon for the embedded one. So this fun gift that you can get, and there's a choice of 6 different realms, I guess, or domains that the storm of the embedded one can go into. And of course, I've got time, which was excellent. Anybody that knows me knows how much I love that. So the gift, which is the weapon, is rewind, which means rolling the same roll as the comrade of this particular turn. So I was wondering if it's essentially a rewind of them being able to do the turn again. Does that mean if it has a consumable resource, it's like they just go back in time and do it again? They don't have to have another physical copy of it?
The way it's written, because, say, the embedded one doesn't have ammo, so if you're, and that's what I'm saying, it's not the embedded one doing this thing, it's whoever it was, and they're literally just creating a redo of that attack at this point in time. So it's literally just the same attack happens in a different context.
I just want to make sure that they don't have to worry about we have to have an extra thing of ammo and an extra thing of slag.
Well, I will tell you this, Miss Mads. Go ahead and proc it, and we'll find out what it does.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not GMing. It's just the way it's written, it doesn't really.
Sure. I'm just looking out for opportunities here.
I even when I shot that gun the first time, I was like, it seems like we could be doubling up on this later on.
So mechanically, if you're asking in terms of how that would rule, my thing is your gift just states you make the same roll. It doesn't state that you need to sacrifice anything or X, Y, and Z.
Woo,
That would be
woo.
my particular ruling.
Well,
So
Right, because
yeah,
because the resources get spent before the roll is made. So you're just making the roll again, assuming which it's already been satisfied.
You're kind of
Right.
pulling whatever comes out of the barrel of that gun forward in time to that moment from
Yeah,
your
exactly.
perspective.
absolutely. So I mean, again, I'm just like wanting to be a big part of the squad.
things will get trippy really quick.
I love it.
So.
I love it.
All right. Well, yeah, I think we decided beforehand we were going to press forward to the north through this carnage.
And as you do so, again, just that peltering rain that isn't normal rain. It's the rain of war that you're hearing. And as you run through the streets, you hear in the distance boots that seem to grow closer than further. The entire city itself, as if it weren't already alive, it feels as if the very walls of the structures are weeping, either through destruction, salvation, somewhere in between. As you run through this place, it feels foreign. This is your home, but it's not right. It's if you came home after a long trip and the couch had moved somewhere else. It just feels off. It's up to you to set it right. As you run through the alleyways and ducking through the different hovels, checking, you see the bodies of comrades, you see the bodies of White Crowns, and scarily enough, seems to be Galgan soldiers as well, scattered about here and there. And then it dawns on you, this wasn't just a White Crown attack. They came with backup.
Fine.
Cool.
Very close to you. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Quinn.
No, I have nothing. I think I was about to say swag.
As you wade through this chaos, as you wade through this mayhem, a courtyard, kind of nice fountain out in the middle, nice, sits there, half destroyed. And immediately, before you can even step foot into this, you hear a round of gunfire go off from in the buildings across the courtyard at you. You quickly all dive into cover. I won't make you roll for that, but you realize they're not going to let this go easy. And Detriment, you would be keen to notice some of these characteristics. It seems to be the same squad that you frightened off from last time, as if they've now shaken off their shock and are ready to do combat. Or maybe someone forced them. You're not quite sure, but either way, you're staring on the wrong end of their rifles. Who has not rolled initiative?
Quinn, you want to go ahead and hit it this time?
Yeah, sure, I can do it. Is it plus anything?
Just D6.
No, it's just D6.
4.
Okay. You all sit hobbled. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys kind of in these buildings that are across from this courtyard.
Yeah.
And you hear the rounds just pelting into your cover. One whizzes past you, just ricochets off into somewhere. And you're realizing this is not going to be easy. But luckily enough, through the destruction, the scarred earth bears her gift. There seems to be enough of wreckage, refuge, and craters in this courtyard that perhaps you could hobble down, make it halfway through. Mechanically, it's going to take you a whole turn of movement just to get across, and you will be attacked. But if you want to stop halfway through, I'll go ahead and grant you an attack, but you will be under light cover, and you'll still be attacked.
I want while everybody else is thinking about what they're going to do, use somber gray. So I spend a power in the ashen sky, descends upon the battlefield. D4, it says creatures. I'm assuming that's people or animals.
Yeah, targets, yeah.
Are silenced, meaning they can't use scrolls or specials for D4 turns.
Nice.
So I think that looks for me this time like I wrap this banner around my mouth and just heave a giant amount of fog upward out of my chest towards the sky that then kind of pours back down and and covers the area for a minute with this ashen smoke.
Yes, as you do, the world that once seemed so scary now seems even scarier as you realize there's the mystical things, the occult, the magical energies that connect all of us, as if the astral realm and the cores that bind you as a squad seem to fade, or at least become obscured. You still see each other. Nothing physically in this realm has changed, but you feel a little bit more alone than before, even with someone hauled right next to you. The only solace you take in that moment is knowing that your enemy feels exactly the same.
And it's for 2 turns.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I need it for the number of creatures theoretically also too. That's 4.
Oh, very nice. Okay, there we go.
So 4 folks for 2 turns.
Okay.
Mm.
Your chances just got a wee bit better.
So sorry to clarify, you said that we're not firing from this position. We would have to kind of make our way across.
You can fire from your position, absolutely. It's just they will have cover just like you have cover, and then at that point you're just shooting across the courtyard, hoping who can hit first. If you want to brave it, you just spend a turn. You're probably going to get attacked, but you can easily rush over this thing. You know, this space. It's not very large. Again, it's just a courtyard, but at the same time, if you're doing so, you're not going to be stopping and shooting at the same time. You're booking it across this thing.
I'm gonna toss a slag bang out.
Oh, nice. Slide out. Pull the pin. Go ahead. Go ahead and roll the presence test there, sir.
That should not be an issue. That's 12.
That makes it. You have your +2, right? This is your third or second?
This is the second one. Yeah, you would still have +2 on this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this would be that would be a 14. Yeah.
There you go.
And then oh yeah, so it's just I just rolled the turns because it doesn't do damage.
Gotcha. Yep. So slog bang, you go ahead and throw that. Go ahead. D4 damage, D3 targets.
No, it's a slag bang.
Not the green grenade?
It's not flash bang. Not
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. Whoops, reading the wrong grenade. Yes. All right. So yeah, you throw it. How many did you have, just out of curiosity?
I had 2 to start, so I'm down 1.
Okay, gotcha. And they miss their shock roll. This thing goes hurtling through this somber gray that has taken over this area. And you just hear this horrible shriek, shrill, ear-piercing. It's almost as if your tinnitus has gone off, been reignited, and it just shakes. It's almost as if on a hot summer day, the air starts to weave and bob, and it's just, you're just lucky he didn't drop it closer to you guys. But you manage to clear. You get a good pitch, and you throw that across the courtyard. And yeah, so for the next, let's see. Go ahead and roll. Do you roll the D2 turns?
Yeah, I just got a 1 this turn.
Okay, so the next turn, they're taking -2 on all their rolls.
Nice.
So this is the time to run across.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
In addition, because it does trigger their shock. I got to grab that page here. What page am I on? There we go.
This is the first time we're seeing this come up as a mechanic, Josh. So why don't you walk us through what you're doing and what shock is a little bit more?
Yeah, so one of the things that we realized about this is again, narratively, to impact the players and to impact the world. Mork Borg has this beautiful broken table, right? And you go down to 0 HP and then you roll to see what happens. We wanted something that was more, could happen just because something's bad, right? So like you're getting hit by a really strong explosion, or something horrible happens to you. There's lots of powers and classes that provoke this shock. And this shock is seeing something or having experienced something that's just otherworldly, and you have to cope with it. And shock itself can be deadly. And all of this starts to impact the actions of the people around you, because your enemies, you're not fighting goblins. You're fighting faceless, nameless soldiers, or maybe, unfortunately, ones that you do recognize in the case of detriment. So in this case, you shook the hell out of them. And so a shock roll, typically, it's cumulative and it goes up for 10 tiers. And obviously the higher the tiers are, the worse it is. Unfortunately, with the shock that you provoked, Senior Tyler, you provoked them into blind fire. So in this case, they all freak out and they just let out the rounds. I need you all to make an agility DR 12. Well, you're undercover, so 12 plus your light cover, so it'd be a DR 10 agility. As they all just simultaneously just.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm going to spend an omen to just bump it up.
Okay. So you're good as well then?
18. Good.
Nice.
I failed.
There's always one. Hey, omens can be spent across the score.
I'm out.
If someone else wants to help a poor grunt out,
Oh yeah, somebody can share omens.
if you want to.
I mean, I have another omen. Does anybody else have more than one more omen left?
I definitely have an omen. I can give you an omen.
Before you make the decision, it is 4 damage coming towards Vlasta.
I mean, I would have to re-roll, so it's up to you if you want to spend it on a re-roll. If you want to give me an omen.
Do you have armor or not?
I've got D2, just minus D2 armor. Yeah.
I'll go ahead. I'll spend mine. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you an omen. That's fine.
Well, I'm at me the second one.
Yeah, hold on to it for right now.
Okay.
It's still just a DR 10 agility. You got your cover.
All right, yeah, that's an 11.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, yeah, apparently Bullseye understands what it means to aim true. And immediately as you throw the grenade Bullseye, you grab hold of Vlasta. What do you say as you yank them as a bullet whizzes right through where they once were?
What do I say to them?
Yeah, you're the bannerman.
I think I just say like hold and like my like and it's almost a whisper, and you see where you were gonna continue. You're like you would have leaned forward with your throw, like that bullet just comes right where you would have passed into had you kept on going forward.
Yeah, you jerk them hard enough that actually helps the propelling of this grenade as it gets launched across the courtyard there. And yeah,
And he
luckily
starts
enough-
writing down what you said, and it takes a lot longer to write than just one word. So you're like, obviously, he's like,
It's being
using
greatly embellished.
Editorializing.
some
Purple-
artistic
purple
like
poetry.
Hold, he said in a husky whisper.
As he firmly
Or
grasps
you
my
are the-
fatigues.
best looking of the group.
We can't let our best look.
Why do I feel like he's writing down like Brave Sir Robin or something like that?
Yeah,
in
like-
the book?
He's getting down the musical notation.
Yes.
At the end, at the end of the Battle of Griff, there will be like a whole novel, like Don Quixote style, of like the
4 books.
All right, yeah, you launch it. Yep, and it goes off. You were saved just in the nick of time by a fair spent omen. You're still on the opposite end of this courtyard, and the rest of you, you're just taking cover, and you even clutch, your head or helmet, whatever you got, as these bullets just bang, 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 pelt into the hovels that you've taken shelter in. It's still your action.
Who's left to move?
I think 2 of us have gone, and then Quinn and Mads. I don't think y'all have acted this.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I'm trying to decide whether I want to move or I want to. Now, see, here's the thing.
What's the thing, Mads?
Can I pick the action that I want to have repeated?
Sure.
Oh boy.
It's gonna get real nasty real quick.
Back, essentially. So
What's the effect of that slag grenade again?
That slag bang is going to trigger their shock, and it gives them -2 to their rolls. So they're already at -2, which I apologize. I should have done the math. Your DR should have been 10 because the cover should have been 8 because they have the minus cover. But yeah, you would reduce them down to -4 on all their rolls.
oh no, it was an 8. I got a 7. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that omen.
Okay.
Still.
Okay. And then on top of that, they would trigger shock again, which could be quite lethal where they're at.
Let's go for a rewind.
All righty. Challenge accepted. All right. So roll the same attack as a comrade. So go ahead and make the presence DR12.
Okay. Give me a second.
Actually, no, because they're at -2. I'm going to go ahead and rule that would be 10 for you because they're now less adept at dodging.
Okie dokie. Alrighty. So. Okay, that is a 21.
No shit. All right. Let's go ahead and deal with the shock first. All right. Interesting. As you do so, there's like a after image or a ghost or some pale, somber, sullen image of Vlasta that is still standing there somehow, even though Vlasta's clearly, taking cover. And what you see is just that pitch, and then you see a second entity of some nature, in the case of Bullseye, reaching up and grabbing him and pulling him back down again. Only you see this. But Bullseye and Vlasta, you feel like a small portion of yourself kind of lift out. And you feel there's something else, like your spirit is doing something in front of you, and then just you feel, okay, it's like you got medicine head for a second. You just kind of fell out of it, and it comes back to you. And then the spectral slag bang goes, I guess, spiraling with the type of pitch that Vlasta got on that, goes spiraling towards the other side, and you hear that horrible shriek just happen again. The air pops, this time even almost like it was in a frying pan. And then you hear the screams of the enemy growing faintly in the distance as they move away from your position again.
Nice.
I think, as you're feeling that almost weird suction of your soul, perhaps, maybe you take a little look over to the place where Detriment has taken cover, and you see them making the somatic symbols with their hands of like a circling backwards,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Nice.
kind of walking backwards in a circle where they are.
Oh, neat.
Oh, nice. I love it. I love it. Very cool. Yeah, so in this case, once again, Detriment breaks the creation, has pushed back the same faces that you recognized, as they now are running in utter fear. And when you all get the individual courage to pop up from your position to look at the courtyard, those buildings look like a ghost town. There's not a single soul that is in the somber gray courtyard.
Nice.
This has been the most interesting non-lethal way to defeat. It's very good. Very nice job. All right, you've cleared the courtyard. All that's left is for you to go and seize it.
Well, I guess that leaves me to do the seizing. All right, and I go. I guess I have my. Maybe I'll have my machine gun ready this time. Maybe. Well. I'll just have my gun. In. What do I roll? I'm just getting in there.
You step out, and it is absolutely quiet and somber, and you feel very alone in the middle of this courtyard. It is as if the entire town has suddenly gone to sleep, but you know that can't be true.
Yeah.
That's what it feels. It feels like you're walking out past curfew.
Yeah, it's definitely, and like I see it just, like the silver fog, and like if this was movie, you just like hear the footsteps.
They
and
reverberate and echo as if it were an infinitely large room.
Exactly. Well, and it's an infinitely large room, but like with the fog and everything, I don't think, even though it's a courtyard, I don't think I can see the buildings on either side. It's just walking out. This courtyard may as well go on forever. And I just get the feeling that I walk very slowly all the way to the other side and out of the fog. And like, even if my comrades are technically walking nearby, like we're completely isolated. We might be, like 4 feet apart, but they might as well be in another dimension.
Absolutely, perfectly described.
We do have our own little D10 loot table if you ever find yourself with seemingly nothing to do.
I like the idea that as I walk, maybe as I near the other end, I stumble across a body,
Mm.
and maybe something glimmers up at me from it.
Oh, let us find out what it is.
That's a 4.
Oh, you find a unfinished ration. It seems that somebody was caught when this attack first happened with a can of dried meat, maybe some really stale biscuits, maybe a combination of the two.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not about to let food go to waste, so I grab it, kind of like try and close the can as best I can, put it in my pack.
Mm.
Not super hungry right now.
What was the D for it? D10?
Mm-hmm.
I would just ask that, like, I want to roll for it. I just want to see, like, what I get. However,
Okay.
it's like, I think, detriment being strange the way they are, I think they would try to look for something like less valuable and more meaningful. Like they'd look for like some sort of weird sentimental item.
All right, go ahead and roll.
I got a 7.
Go ahead and roll me a D2.
Okay. That would be a 1.
Okay, you find a single round of ammunition. Go ahead and roll me one more D4. We'll see what the special characteristic is.
Sure. That would be a 1 again.
Okay, I'm scrolling. All right. You find just a single silver jacket, or maybe not silver, that prescribes value, but in terms of like a very worn brass that seems to have been fondled over and over again in hands to the point that it's been almost polished from skin oils, but etched into the side of it says "use in case of war." That one bullet is going to trigger shock if it hits somebody, just so you know.
Nice.
The soldier you picked it from was carrying it around their neck as if it were hanging next to dog tags, but there are no dog tags there. Those either have gone missing or whatever. Some forgotten corpse lays there, and well, you've now been given the instructions: use in case of war.
What round, like, would I recognize, what? Actually, no. I think what happens is when detriment finds this thing, I think they will turn to their companions once we all come out of our cover and go, "This says use in case of war. Which weapon would this be appropriate for?" And they kind of hold it up very slowly and kind of like have each one of you look at it and say, which does this fit? What weapon will this muster?
As you do so, and as you all are kind of figuring, ammo is universal, so whoever decides that will be the weapon it goes to. But as you kind of slowly, the somber gray fades out and the world returns.
Nice.
And then literally as detriment utters the last word of their sentence, it suddenly makes sense: use in case of war. And you're like, you feel that camaraderie come back as a squad, and it almost feels poisonous. Which one of you takes the ammo?
If you choose not to take it, I will hold it for safekeeping.
I've only got 1 ammo right now.
You want it? I mean,
Just say I'm gonna put that
I was
out
like,
there.
who braves to take it? I mean, that's what they're asking.
Yeah, no. So I think probably like you hold it up, and I think Rufus like pushes his little horn-rimmed glasses up, and it's like, I think those are Schleswig grounds. I'll hold on to them. So
Nice.
now I have 2 ammo. Great, good. I was
Yes,
not happy
go
about
for
only having 1.
Yeah. It doesn't fit that weapon all that well, does it?
Yeah.
Starts to feel a little scary when your ammo starts drying up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. You all
Forward.
cross. You've all secured the area as you get into the buildings of where they were, and it's just vacant. It's absolutely gone. You see traces of where they set up and that sort of thing. Maybe a stray sandbag here that's leaking or whatever the case may be. But none of the White Crowns or the Galgan soldiers of which you are meant to do battle with, they all seem to be cowards. They fear what you are capable of. They fear what they do not understand, and they destroy what they are incapable of learning about.
Would they have used slag too? I would imagine they also used slag too, right? For their stuff?
For their weapons, absolutely. If there's any around, you don't see it, or either they managed to grab enough of it as they
Got it.
panicked.
Okay, that's what I was concerned
Mhm.
about, like whether we needed to do a search, in their
Well-
wake. So
It's scary enough that they know that if they're going to survive, they're going to need it for themselves. But they did run north, it seems, from what you're able to tell. So they, at this point, are just regrouping in fear.
they should fear us.
As you say that,
Mm.
you hear a very large, loud noise cut through the din. It is the ship horn of the Prometheus. And you all rush to that side of the building. Luckily, it's
Yeah.
tall enough to see over the
Yeah.
hobble. It seems the buildings get a little bit shorter as you get closer to the shore, of course. And you see off in the distance your magnificent capital ship. Your salvation will be here in just a matter of moments. It will cut off the enemy reinforcements. You know nothing surpasses the Prometheus. Nothing you know of. The only thing you have left to do is push these White Crowns back into the sea.
Nice.
Can you do it? At this point, they're going to run too scared.
Yeah, they're halfway there themselves.
Right. All right. Bullseye, you've been quiet. What does he
Yeah.
make of all this?
You all see him like kind of just taking in the scene as like a wind kind of out of nowhere kind of whips up behind him and takes that highly noticeable banner and just kind of pulls it up and out into the air as he kind of takes a step forward towards this scene.
It feels like that step has the weight of thousands of your troops behind you, but you realize there's only a squad of 3, and you can't help but extend your hand towards this beachhead, and you, in your mind's eye, clench that fist as if you were to crush each and every one of them.
And I think I'll go ahead and use which one is it? I'm going to go ahead and use Shining White again because it seems like an ideal time to. And so simply gnomes are emboldened by my presence. You may choose to either gain D2 omens or powers, heal D4 damage, or gain +2 to your next D3 rolls.
I will go for a D3 rolls.
Might be good for some folks to restock on omens, hint, hint.
Yeah.
There is that.
Or
How
powers.
many omens?
It's D2, so you're going to get at least 1, but you might get 2.
Yeah, I got 2 omens.
Very nice.
Which I don't know how
Yeah.
your power just is your ability a power or is it a how is yours triggered, Mads, for your character?
Don't know. I just have omens. I didn't see any powers. So
Right. They don't.
Right.
They really don't use powers.
It's just a
really.
24-hour reset. That's what I was trying to remember first.
okay.
Like, it is a you do this once a day thing.
Yeah.
There is no way around that besides potentially narratively. Cool.
And I thought that was pretty interesting. Rolling 66 and still wasn't able to roll the D6 damage to everyone there. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't
That
add it up.
close. She got the 15. She got pretty
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
I mean, I guess, well, because it's been a while since I've done Mork Borg, but I mean, like, I could have probably added. Could I? What I mean, like, would an omen add?
So the
No.
omens, yeah, the omens change the DR of the task.
Okay,
Not necessarily
change
your
DR
Yeah.
or allow a reroll. And I can't remember the other thing. I think there was another thing, but anyway.
They were out
Right.
reroll on a test specifically, I
Right.
think.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, cool.
All right. You all break out into a run because there's nothing to stop you. It's full on charge. Let's take this home. Let's take our home back.
Nice.
The sandbars of Grift are dirty with all the war waste, the slog that has been spent pouring back out into the sea. It's not crystal blue water that you see washing upon the shores, as if the ocean itself has turned red, and you're not sure if it's from combat or from ecological disaster and waste that you know your own people are responsible for. And it kind of shocks you for a brief moment. This is what we're fighting over? There are literally people dying in the sand to take this beachhead or to take it back, being swept out to sea, just bobbing almost comically. But then there are those who are still alive and they want to shoot you. Go ahead and roll me initiative. Who hasn't rolled? Tyler, I think you're the last one.
Yeah.
4.
All right. Before you, as you get to act first, squads and squads, not all of them directly pointing at you, but it's almost as if there's a line and they just keep trying to get up this sandbar. But luckily, you are not the only squad here to assault, as you see other bannermen and other beggars of death, your comrades, emerge from the city. Now is not the time for cover. Sigfum once spoke that when the final misery occurs, he personally would march you all to the sea. And though you don't see him here, you feel his noble hand, whether it be just or unjust, you don't care. Now is the time to march to the sea. In addition to all the soldiers, there's a fucking tank. A metallic crawler that has stayed on this beachhead. On the side of it is scribbled in horrible, horrible handwriting, the third head of he. It's a Galgan tank. Perhaps they have allied, or perhaps they see just a common enemy. Perhaps they want revenge for your assistance at Glimsford. Hint, hint, our last game. But either way, this is the fight. Spend it all. Go for it.
Does this count as a new battle? Or
Yes.
is it- oh, it does. Okay.
Mhm. For the sake of, well, we rolled a new initiative, so for the sake of kind of giving us a final format, new combat. Yep.
Not battle would be. I probably should call that mission rather than battle. Sorry.
Probably, yeah, that might be a
Gotcha.
note we took away.
But still same day though.
Still same day. Yep.
Damn.
Day.
Yeah, we're really bad about like keeping track of time.
You know, but here's the thing: like the
Important.
hey, let's cut off in 2 moves. The entire first combat was super worth it, no matter what. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
You
Yeah,
still
and, well,
have
and this is also pretty tense because now we're up against this tank and we do not have our big guns. So,
Right.
like, what are we
I
gonna
remember
do?
it differently. I remember differently. Somebody's got a whole ass flame spitter there.
Yeah.
Oh, there is
So-
that. What's a
True.
tank? What's a, okay? What's a tank?
What we have left like 3 slag for it, right?
We have 2 slag left for it,
Two slag.
unless there's
Unless
some
we can-
slag.
It
remaining.
also
Alright,
deals.
some out of the
It
tank
also deals
forward,
plus D2 damage because I'm here.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, all squad equipment gains plus D2 armor and/or plus D2 damage.
Nice.
Oh, so there you go. Yeah, so you should.
So I
have been
did
rolling
12
additional
damage
too.
last. Oh, no, I'm just
Yeah.
And we can I mean I can help fire it off again.
True.
So yeah, I think I mean if we want to go big, I mean we can as we charge forward, just I can swing this thing around, and we can lay out with it.
It's the time.
Great time for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Bannerman, what do you yell? This could be the last time your voice is heard.
I yell, "What's up?"
Yeah, yeah.
Bullseye, a person of few words. The Chronicle will not remember him this way.
I mean, no Avengers Assemble and copyright.
Yeah, I'm writing my
Or
book.
Alan Z.
I'm writing in my book, and thus he spake, "Burn, baby, burn," or something.
I rolled a 19 to hit. We're gonna put the 2 slag in there. Can you use it on the same target multiple times?
I'd say that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. So
Cool.
are you targeting like the squads around, or are you targeting that metal behemoth? What do you
The
targeting?
metal behemoth, it seems like, is the
All
best way to
right.
go.
So you do have burn on that. So regardless of like doing the damage or whatnot, you're degrading this armor.
Okay.
So it is mechanically worth it. That's probably your best shot.
So we got 9.
Okay.
And then we got 7.
Okay. So 9 and 7, because these are 2 blows of the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and give you the burn for the first one. So if the first one doesn't penetrate, we're going to lower the armor, and then we'll deal with your 7.
And did you say we're doing +2 damage also too, Quinn? Is that correct?
Correct.
So that is not including the +2 damage. That'd be 11 and 9.
Plus D2.
D2.
Plus
yeah.
D2.
Okay. So let's add
So
that
it's
up.
11 and
Ooh.
9.
Oh, nice, Max.
Ooh.
Got it. Oh,
Holy
shit.
cow.
Okay. Apparently this wasn't as tough. Apparently the sea and the salt has rusted some of this behemoth's armor, and you deal quite a bit of damage. You literally knock this thing in half, and then let's deal with the 7 or the 9 rather. Okay, a little bit better in this case. So now you see this fire just come out. And it's almost patriotic because it's what the Beggars of Death, your army, is known for, the great wielding of the flame as it burns everything before you. You're not so much concerned with what's up, but what drips down off of the steel behemoth as you melt and pierce through this armor here. You've left a huge hole on the side of this thing as you melt it all the way through this. It's still operable, but like one of its treads is just completely jellified. Just you can hear the metals just kind of just dripping down.
And then I say that's hot.
There we go.
How does that get chronicled for Blastas? I'm just curious.
Yeah. I'm just like,
And the enemy did burn with the heat of
I
1,000
draw some
suns.
sparkly sunglasses.
Oh my god.
Very nice.
Did any of the guys in there survive? Are they still doing their thing in there? It's kind of.
They seem to be red-faced, and it's at this point piloted by 2 lobsters versus 2 white crowns. But no, they seem to have survived the onslaught somehow.
I'm unloading my machine gun into the hole.
Nice. All right, go ahead. We'll do it. I won't give them cover, so it'll just be a DR12 for your presence. Remember all your bonuses I think you got from Shining White.
I changed my mind after I did, and I just got another omen. So I do not have any bonuses from Shining.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
So I'm gonna use an omen.
Cuz.
Well, to put it politely, I didn't hit the target number. That's a little more like it. 14.
Okay, yeah, you get them. How much you have? What's your weapon?
The Schleswig.
The Schleswig sprayer?
Yep. So
Okay.
D6 damage per ammo spent. There's only 2 guys in there.
Mhm.
And can I expect they've already taken damage from being in a boiling?
I mean, yeah, they're probably not doing too hot. Well, actually, they probably are doing very hot, but
Yeah, indeed.
Sorry.
It's up to you. I mean, you're not a medical examiner. This is across a
Yeah.
battlefield. You're charging with a rifle. As far as you can tell, yeah, they're dinged up. But I
I'm
mean,
just gonna spend 1 ammo for now.
okay. Are you targeting the driver or the turret operator?
Turret up, easy.
Okay, go ahead and roll it. Let's see that damage gauge.
So I'm gonna spend an omen. Can an omen let you reroll damage as well, or
You can reroll any die roll. Yeah. In
But
this case,
no, an omen just does max damage.
oh,
Yes,
just
it
max
does.
damage? Great.
you can
so
do max damage in the
Six.
future. I'll give it to you in the future if we're going to do max damage. That one I do prefer before the roll.
that makes sense. I would have spent it had I recognized that option.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll keep it. Yeah, you lay in just. You can feel. What is this feeling? It's courage, or is it bravery, or is it just foolishness? Is it reckless abandon?
Oh, I
You're
think
not
the
quite sure.
term. I think the noun here is righteousness.
Oh God.
Okay, yeah. I mean, your mind flashes back to the poor sod in the bell tower, and you're just like, another one, and just absolutely turn them into Swiss cheese. You can hear the bullets hitting the back end of this metal behemoth as they just absolutely mushroom through your target. And if there is a shimmering fields, very nice. All right, that leaves Mads and Vlasta. Oh, go ahead.
So the keeper of record has earned us something.
Yeah, go ahead and explain that mechanic.
Squad member did max damage with the squad equipment attack way back with the first fire spitter attack, and that was on the natural D10 roll.
Yep.
An entire building was destroyed by taking down a flying machine, and then we've spent all our squad slag. Now these are, and throughout a campaign, these would get marked off the record permanently. Okay, so never again would you get any benefit from these things happen. But for every 3, we get something cool. And right now, it's a short list, but we can get +1 slog real quick. We can put off getting broken until -2 HP. We can do 1 lobster armor dropping from the sky, which is a tier 5 armor D minus D8, right?
Minus D, yeah, minus
Or
D8.
D6 or D8.
Wow.
I think it's D8.
Let's see real quick.
Yeah, let's check
So
that.
y'all know. Yeah, minus D8 damage. But if you run into deep water, you're just dead immediately.
That does not sound very lobstery to me.
Yeah, that's what it says. It's a misnomer.
Oh, I see. I missed that.
It's lobster armor.
Laugh.
Drawn butter. Sorry. Oh my God.
Or when gaining war scrolls, choose instead of rolling random, but that's probably not going to benefit us immediately.
I mean, the slag just seems like the best idea. I mean, if we can still use if somebody can use the fire spitter, but
I mean, we can use it one more time for sure.
Okay, that's a conception. That's the.
I mean,
That's
I still think
the,
lobster armor, given the space rat, sounds way cool. But
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm.
like, we're on the beach, and so having lobster armor drop out of the sky for somebody feels real good.
And there's kind of more of a permanence there, I think. So these would be again permanent bonuses. So you just you'd have this throughout the rest of the campaign.
Cool.
Those would get marked off immediately. And so yeah, then you just always have this until it gets theoretically destroyed somehow, right? You can melt armor in this game. Burn is that keyword. But
Just did with the tank, yeah.
right. Yeah, so it's up to y'all. I think the lobster armor would be more of a static bonus as we try to make our way through the crowd here.
Oh, this is for everybody, not just one person.
No, it's just one.
Oh,
But we
okay.
put that person in front.
Okay.
Right.
Who would that person be? That's the question.
I mean, really, whoever doesn't need their agility bonus is
I need my
who it should be.
agility bonus. I'm
Yeah.
not leaving that.
So which one would we like to do? To be honest, I think your best bet is probably the slog, but that's the DM speaking, so I could be an unreliable narrator.
I'm with you. I think lobster armor dropping from the sky is really cool. Or just somebody tripping over it and falling into it accidentally.
Popping up out of the water instead.
Okay, so we're gonna go with the lobster armor.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So the despondent interpreter has borne witness to enough of the atrocities,
Mm.
and
Now he wants to do some of his own.
Well, it's top brass just kind of like says, Jesus, y'all, you're tearing it up. Here's a little bit of extra.
what? Funnily enough, yeah, it does fall out of the sky. What you see is one of those seraphim, those sky crawlers, and on top of one of its wings is this massive human being. Luckily, they're on your side with a Zweihander, literally just choking through it. And unfortunately, they chunk through it too good, and they chop off the wing that they're sitting on, and they literally fall, free fall, and they hit and stand. There's no bounces, there's nothing, and they don't move. The sword is still hanging off somewhere on this seraphim that's now like just spiraling out into the ocean. But yes, lobster armor falls from the sky. You're still dealing with tons and tons of white crown squads as they are beckoning towards. They have not given up, but you have all but eliminated this metal behemoth that Galgenbeck has loaned them, bringing infinite shame to their name.
Does anybody have a preference? I think probably. Wait, what's your name again? Bilbo Baggins. Quinn, what was your name again?
My guy is Rufus Tacklebox.
Tacklebox, right? Like, I think between Rufus and Vlasta would be probably the better use of the lobster armor per se.
I'm gonna
Then again,
pause real quick. Let's finish the initiative round as well, because I still want to keep that momentum going. So like someone who dies for this armor, you're going to be putting on, steel plating right here in the middle of this battle.
Right. Yeah, that's
so at the same time, I get the narrative play of like, oh, okay, not trying to stop that. It's a beautiful thing. Whoever hasn't taken their initiative, I'll let you do your actions, and if we want to go back to this conversation, that's totally fine. But let's keep the heat and let's keep
Sounds good.
All right. So to keep rolling with my mechanical questions. Sorry. I want to do rewind on of course, the fire spitter roll again. However, it was aimed at the behemoth. Behemoth is pretty much like tanked. And I'd want to really use the blast more for again the warriors or the battlers on the beachhead, themselves. So is that possible even with
rewind? You want to shift the target?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a fair application. So go ahead and make that attack roll.
Okay.
And he spent 2 slog on that, so you're going to get the double blast of that thing.
Yay! Presence?
Presence DR 12.
Okay. Alrighty. That is I can do math. I really can. 13 plus 2. 15. Why is this hard?
There you go. All right, go ahead and roll that beam footage.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I mean, from where detriment is, it's a little bit different this time because it's not much cover because it's bare beach, and we're just kind of on the sandbar and such. So they approach it a little bit differently, but the movements are slightly the same. It's where they are doing the rollback motion with their hands, but this time in their crouch, they are rising and falling, moving backwards in a circle, and then doing it a couple of times because of the length and breadth of the fire spitter, just to make sure that time understands that it is not going to do the exact same thing as before, but it's going to spread. So the circle is bigger, the crouch, changes levels, and the gestures of the rollback are wider and more expansive.
Mm. And sure enough, time obeys,
Mhm.
and the fire leaps forth. Tell us how much damage. Remember, we get the +2 because we have our old world engineer.
Well,
So
D,
D10 plus
So
D2.
D10s.
D2. I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry. D10 plus 2. My
D10 plus
apologies.
D2.
Okay. So let me just see how many dice first. All right. That would be a 2. Okay. And then D10s, right?
Mhm.
So 3 D10s? Is that what I'm doing?
2D10.
No. D10 plus D2. So D10 damage plus an additional D2 damage.
Okay. Got it.
Times 2 because of the slug.
And then, yes, twice over.
Fuck.
Okay. So D10 rolled a 4.
Okay.
All right. And then 2, like D2,
Serious?
that's +2, right? I mean, I'm horrible at mechanics. I'm sorry.
So that's fine. So D2 is basically it's a two-sided dice. So it's either going to be a 1 or a 2.
It was
if
a
you
2.
don't, if you can either flip a coin or use a D4 and cut it in half.
I did. It was 2.
Okay. So that's going to be 4 plus 2 is 6
Yeah.
for one of the shots, and then you're going to do it again for the second shot.
Got it. Okay. All right. That's a 10 and a 2.
There you go,
Yeah.
max damage.
Ooh.
So 6 and 12.
Yep. I think because of the time.
Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering about
Josh,
that. Oh,
Josh
no.
dropped. We're going to hop to a 5-minute break real quick, come back and find out the resolution of that maximum damage.
So funny.
We'll be back in just one moment for that and to wrap up our play of Farewell to Arms while Josh reboots their internet.
God.
What a cliffhanger.
Sorry, I've got a dog that's being a little nuisance right now.
I got an internet that's being a little bit of a nuisance.
And we are live again here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. We have tamed internet and dog to bring you the resolution of max damage on this fire spitter for one of those rolls. So, Josh, why don't you take it?
Last time on Dragon Ball Z. No, okay. Jumping back into it. I apologize, everybody. It gets so tense and it's like, oh, we're doing it. Okay. You let loose. And that same kind of paracausality loops back into existence. At this time, the battle is so intense and so ferocious at first as you meet them head on that perhaps Bullseye doesn't feel that same pull because they are so in that moment. But what you see is, again, this ghostly figure just wave, and time kind of like bends as this, and then just snaps to, and just and a dozen of white crowns, so used to the cold of their climate, must now learn what it means to die in heat. And they're absolutely just gone. They fade to dust. Entire squad just fades to dust that's blown onto the beaches and mixes with the sand. Something that Grift will surely not be able to forget anytime soon. Absolutely decimating the forces before you. There's still many more. And of course, once you do this, and a tank melting and then people melting, to the rest of you who are bearing witness to this, you just see absolute spontaneous combustion. You're living in the same timeline, but this bootstrap paradox has now just absolutely merged these two things where one cannot exist without the other. And unfortunately, that means the demise of the White Crowns.
Mm-hmm.
Has anyone not gone for their initiative yet?
So
Lost.
Yeah, I don't know if Loster has.
yeah, I haven't actually gone yet. That's why I was asking that. And so yeah,
this giant hole has opened up where you got White Crowns here, you got White Crowns there, but there are no White Crowns here. Just the remnants of a beaten down behemoth or melted down behemoth. The scrap metal that it once is. It shall return.
yeah, I'm gonna run and like take cover behind the lobster armor and freaking pull the old blind fire up above my head. No, actually, I'll just take cover behind the lobster armor and aim.
Gotcha. So the aim mechanic, can you go ahead and explain that for us?
Yeah, you get a +2 to damage. You spend your turn to aim, and you get a +2 to damage or to the shot, to your presence for your next shot. So, and I still got a +2 on my next roll anyway. So
Very nice. So you
I'll
taking
take
the aim?
damage on that one, but yeah, I'm gonna
You
aim.
you're gonna do damage on that one, you said?
Yeah, so I'll do +2
Roll.
presence and then
And +2 on the
or,
damage.
+2 damage on the
Gotcha,
aim.
gotcha. All right, so yeah, you prop up this body of a comrade there. Their armor is absolutely decked out with the sigils of grift. It's a morbid sight, but then again, you are before a slew of morbid sights. People bayoneting each other in the sand, folks apparently falling out of the sky, and you see the strafing that comes by as you hear that seraphim come back around. I need you all to go ahead and make your agility DR12 test. This is one you will want to make. Getting hit by the sky crawler is not something many people live to tell the tale. You will have cover, obviously.
Spend an omen.
Okay.
Does anybody have an omen I can borrow?
Yes, I will give you an omen for sure. So that omen goes to Bullseye.
Cool. Sweet. 16 then.
And
Nice.
I got 15.
It was
15.
definitely a 1 otherwise.
I made my second roll with an 18.
Okay.
Nice.
Where's
I
Velasquez?
got a nat 20 -1 for my agility. So.
Okay, so would you like to go ahead and take it and attack as this thing strafes by low enough that as the bullets hit the sand, that craters literally, like it looks like children had played and tried to make a sand pit. Boom! Just everywhere. It gets into your armor, gets into your fatigues, gets into your eyes, your ears. You could taste it, the sulfury sand as it just rains on you.
Yeah,
Adding to
I
the
just straight up toss a slag bang right into his freaking right into the cockpit.
All right, if you want, I will let you use the aim and bonus to damage and all that sort of thing.
No.
Okay, go ahead and make the roll.
No.
Presence DR12.
That's a 12.
Okay, it hits. Go ahead and roll the damage. Oh, it is not. This is not a dip. This is the
Yeah,
slag. I keep confusing the two grenades. My apologies. All right, so -2 rolls for that poor sod, and then in addition, we'll test their shock. All right. Ooh, dang! You with these damn grenades. All right, let's go up here. It's page 3. All right. There
So
we go.
this will be the shock table will be in the back of the final book, totally accessible because it's something that's you're dealing with all the time, that you're referencing this chart. It acts kind of like Panic in Alien RPG, where it is cumulative and you're moving down this list every roll. Yeah. So
With how powerful some of these things you guys been whipping out, like imagine that against you. Yeah, you would run and hide as well.
it's all totally will come back on us.
And you triggered that. You triggered that panic. That pilot doesn't know what's going on and thinks they are hit, and immediately like changes course, almost like a sharp 90-degree. The wing literally comes down and cuts into the sand. That's how sharp they make that. It like literally, and then just gets the hell out of there. And you can't see this, but cinematically, you have some pilot who's sitting there just like checking themselves and trying to pull levers and whatever can maintain this sky crawler's trajectory. But as like when they finally land, they're going to find a nasty surprise in their pants. All right. The squads on the beach, seeing the absolute carnage that you wreck, also turn towards you. Agility DR12 as they open fire. Remember your cover and your bonus to rolls.
23.
18.
23, was that a nat 20?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you guys are on fire. What'd you get, Quinn?
18.
Okay, you're safe.
18.
Nice.
I burn an omen to make it to lower the DR because I got a
Okay. We'll deal with the nat 20 first. So, in your dancing, Detriment, you have absolutely annihilated creation at this point. Everything that you have warped is almost this mockery of what reality is. Ontologically, you are a wound in the world. With your nat 20, what would you like to do? You can get an automatic attack on these squads. You can... Well, I'll pose that option. I'll give you the option. Either I can do something to them, or you can go ahead and get your attack at them.
Can I summon a storm?
A random storm. That'd be
I mean, like get my storm
You want
ability
you,
back.
you want you know
Basically,
what?
I have twisted time into the next day for me.
I like that. I like that. Fuck it. Let's go for it. Let's do it.
Alrighty. So yeah, Battlefield becomes an array of possibilities. It's like, and I'm seeing them all, like, in that weird transparent spectral, like, format. And it's laid bare. And I'm going to be rolling 66 to see how this goes.
All right.
Okay. Let's see. Oh,
Vegas.
yeah. Okay, so that is 6 plus 5 plus 5 is 16.
Ooh.
So 16 to 18. All enemies take D6 damage.
Roll that damage.
Alrighty. All right, that is a 5.
Ooh.
Nice.
Wow.
You have always witnessed the spectral timeline in others. As someone who walks and weaves in and out, it feels just, I can't even describe how weird. Weird doesn't do it justice. No, you see yourself. Yourself comes by as everything slows down, as if, being captured by a slow-mo camera. But you yourself, you see yourself, and you both stare at each other through your cloth masks. It's you from the next day who has come to visit. And you both don't speak a word because you already know what the other is about to say. It's as if you are one and the same, but it can't be the same. It's you from... And the entire battle just kind of plays out. You know how this will end. As we roll it out, everything that happens, you already knew will happen. As you face this person from the next day, you face yourself from the next day. And your spectral self points. And then things kind of start to speed back up to normal time. Your spectral self disappears, but each of those white crowns that have been pointed to, you see just this rapid aging effect take hold of them. They grow super gauntly. Their bones give way, being too feeble and weak to hold their own armor or their weapons. And they literally die of old age right there on the battlefield.
I think as we come back into the present time, I think Detriment will say to themselves, to everyone, to no one, they'll basically say, and time passes on for everyone.
It echoes over the battlefield cries and the wounded and all that, and only a voice responds in your own voice. Time passes for everyone.
I feel like this could be a good time for us all to roll shock.
It's weird, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What do we roll
crazy.
for shock? I'm sorry.
If you would like to, yeah, go ahead. It's going to be a toughness DR 14.
Okay. Toughness. Okay. Hold on. 14.
Yeah, why not?
17. Oh wait, what's my toughness then?
I
Yeah.
did not make that.
Oof.
Okay, so
All right, we'll deal with the second phase of that.
All right, so I mean, amazingly enough, did not make it, and that's fine because it's like fictionally it makes sense to me because I mean, like, you know, you call that much like time debt in, it's gonna come back. You know, it's gonna come back and bite them in the ass. Okay, so I'm gonna use an omen to lower the DR. What does the DR lower down to if I use an omen?
You lower it by
Goes
4,
down by
so it'd be-
4. Yeah.
So you're now facing toughness DR 10.
Okay, all right, let me try to. Okay, so yeah, what did I say? I can't remember what I said. Shit. I think it was like 13.
I don't think you
Okay,
said the
so
number
you
out
make
loud,
it.
so yeah.
Yeah.
I rolled a natural 20.
Woohoo!
Bullseye
Go
just-
Radiant!
Bullseye just not like watching a plane crash or watching a skycrawler crash in the distance, totally distracted from everything else happening around him.
Bullseye's just like, wow, look at that.
Shiny.
That's crazy.
Everyone else is in the middle of a battlefield, and Bullseye is just like, it's Tuesday.
Y'all seeing this?
All right, how would you like to spend this incredible roll, sir? I have an idea. Yeah.
I love your pitch.
Come on, Bullseye, do it.
You have many powers that deal with shock.
I do.
Did anybody fail the shock roll? Who failed the shock roll?
Me.
Let's do. Okay.
Well, I failed it, and then I used an omen to bump it,
Okay.
or to
Gotcha.
lower the DR.
And Vlasta, sorry.
Oh yeah, I passed.
You passed. Okay, so you do have a comrade who is about to suffer some shock. And you have powers that relate to that.
Oh yeah, spend a power to add or subtract D4 from any allied initiative or shock test. So I'll spend a power to do that.
Okay.
That will not save me.
So what shock are you currently at, Quinn?
I don't have any, unless I'm misunderstanding the shock test.
You initially, upon character creation, start with D2. So if you haven't rolled that, now would be a good time. Go ahead and roll the D2, and we'll see where you're at. This is a great time to run through the shock mechanic.
2.
Okay, so you would be on tier 2, Primal Fear. This is bad for you. Its effect is the next shock roll, which would be the one that we're currently trying to resolve. Luckily, Tony has rolled a 20, so you might save your bacon. Your next shock roll, instead of normally being a D4, every time you fail shock, you roll D4, and that's how much you add to the table. Yours is going to be a D6.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Tony sounds like he's spending the power, and that lowers it by
A D4. And I rolled a 3.
Okay, 3. So go ahead and roll your 6.
3.
So
Okay.
it's going to reduce it to 0. So you're
So
going to
in
stay
this
at the
case-
same level.
Yep.
Okay.
So you're staying at
Ah.
Primal Fear.
I see. So the shock test is to see if you get more shock.
Correct.
Got it. Great. Good.
And then you adjust up to whatever that new level of shock would be as far as
Yeah.
So
Additive.
if Tony had not saved your bacon, or Bullseye had not saved your bacon, you would have added 3 to your 2. So you would have been at 5, which would have been a blind fire. So you immediately shoot at the next enemy at DR 16.
Got it. Ugh. Okay.
So some of these things, they play off differently. Some of these get really nasty at the upper end.
Yeah.
But that too, when you start with character creation, you start with 1 or 2. First one degradates what your sidearm can be. You just don't grab the right thing because you're so nervous. The 2, you've seen some things. And so now it triggers a greater, it propels you into the table at a greater velocity.
Gotcha.
So,
Cool.
so
Great.
you reverted back down to 2. So your next shock roll is still going to be a D6. So that's, silver lining, or I guess in this case, shit-stained lighting.
Yeah.
So
Well, I rolled more than a 20 on like cumulative on all my shit that I get, the start of the game with. So I roll +1 on the shock table permanently anyway. Like it's horrible.
right. So but this is the thing. War is horrible, and this mechanic was designed to highlight this.
Right.
Something horrible occurs on the battlefield, that may outright kill you because you shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be fighting a war. So narratively, that mechanic is trying to push that.
Yep.
Love it. Awesome.
All right, getting back into it. So you guys have avoided your shock. You literally have avoided gunfire. You have avoided tank fire. Well, not fire because you fired it first. You've avoided the
We did
Seraphim
avoid
as
it. We
was the-
preemptively avoided it.
preemptive dodging is called an attack roll. All right. To narratively kind of wrap this up, your comrades seem to be just as emboldened as you.
Mhm.
And though some of them fall, the Prometheus lurks closer and opens fire on the beachhead. It sinks and destroys or absolutely scatters remaining forces that could have been there. And as you look out, as you're watching this, you see white crowns that are just fleeing into the sea in their armor, just trying to swim and not making it past a couple meters. You see planes that literally do not have the fuel to return to their landing craft or wherever they took off from, just towards the horizon, because any fate would be better than sitting here. You see your comrades trying to pick up the bodies of their comrades. And although you might have repelled this invasion, what scars do you bear on your bodies, and what scars does your home bear for the future of this war? Perhaps now the enemies of Grift will be like ravenous wolves licking at the bleeding wound this war has caused. And then you can't help but think, is this happening somewhere else right now, to someone else? That Kyrgyz mother still has not received a letter. You guys played exceptionally well, you lucky son of a guns.
Yeah, that was great.
Congratulations.
Nobody, like, I took 1 HP of damage.
Yeah, you got
That was a little weird.
All right, let's do our reaction roll. Reaction roll is a live stream inside of a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creators of a game that we just played and talk to them about what it was like to play that game. Today, we are playing Farewell to Arms Redux, a Mork Borg compatible supplement where the world of Galgambek has gone to war over a new substance that has been discovered, and the entire world has been torn apart. We have the creative team from Rivethead Games here with us, along with a couple other players. But Josh, Tyler, why don't you tell us a little bit about who y'all are, tell us about Farewell to Arms, and give us kind of the elevator pitch again for anybody who joined us late. What is this game all about?
Well, my voice is tired, so I'll pass it over to Tyler to go first.
The world is breaking apart both ecologically and politically. All the things you know and love about Mork Borg still exists in the dark parts of the world, but these cities have, geared up for war. So all this, the idea that the city is a safe haven and the forest is scary is almost flipped at this point. The last place you want to be is anywhere near these cities and towns that are littered with, grunts, soldiers, heavy machinery, trenches, emplacements, all the things you expect from some kind of 20th century, early 20th century war. But yeah, meanwhile, like a troll could come along at any moment, so it's odd, but yeah, all the same key players are there. Everything from the lore in the original book is there, just amped a little bit.
You jumped over the Renaissance and went straight to the industrialized, the magically industrialized warfare.
Right, and it's that kind of industrialization, like tacked on to this, Dark Ages kind of era still. So, as Zweihander is just as useful as it ever has been, because
that's what you got.
There's no ammo involved in your D10 Zweihander, and so it's I think we've done a pretty good job of like meshing two like kind of disparate worlds in a really thematic way, and the intention is for this to be played, you know, very much in a campaign setting, very much in a place where yes, you can die, but when you do live, you know, for a couple of battles, you know, you earn promotions, you turn into a warlord, you start making you know, higher level decisions, and then maybe you get a seat at the table with, you know, Anthelia herself to talk strategy. All these things, there are three phases in the game, you know, political and warlord phase, you know, war room, where you're sitting around the big map and going, where are we going next, and what are we doing, and how are we going to do it? And so a lot of like, you know, kind of short role play sessions, or not a lot, but, you know, a couple short role play sessions before you get into the, you know, what we did today. And early testing on those other phases has gone really well. It gives you kind of a breather, you know, from the world of like being in the muck, but it's also like it's fed by that understanding of like they're in the muck, and so you get to role play like whether you give a shit about that or not, you know. Like it's I'm really happy with what we've done here, and I think I think we've probably done more work than was necessary, but that's what we tend to do anyway. So
Cool. Awesome.
Narratively, I guess if I could, you know, kind of jump from, you know, from behind the DM screen to in front. So we've concocted this world to be linking. So like Tyler mentions, you know, like the war room phase and the map and that sort of thing. Like from my perspective, if you listen to our play with a victory condition gaming and that sort of thing, there was a different mission. And one of those options for that mission is like, hey, you know, a battleship from Grift helps out taking this town. And that was part of the reason you guys were left vulnerable, is because if we're doing this 3-phase of play where we have, do we help Schleswig fight against Galgenbeck? What does that mean for us? And that's why Galgen's soldiers are there to take their revenge and this sort of thing. And this legacy map that has these stickers that shape the world, you know, like this could have been a world shape. You guys, you managed to fight it off, but there could be an entire sticker where now, like, boom, you slap that on top of Grift, and Grift now belongs to Allian, now belongs to the Icefeld and Curtis, right? The White Crowns could have totally succeeded. Now you beat them off, but this is the living, breathing world that we are so excited to bring to you all. Because yeah, you might have done really well and very heroic and great, but there are also times where like you'll sit in the war room, in the whole war room, 3 phases of play and this political phase, and then of course your squad phase. What do we bring with us? Carries on. So while this one shot may not have, you know, those aspects may have been absent, the thing is now the next time you play, you're going to deal with these consequences of your town being attacked, your city, your hub being destroyed, regardless of not if you defended it successfully. Those are consequences. And the best way to illustrate those consequences are going to be to put you in the phase where you have to make those decisions. Where are we attacking? What are we defending? What are our objectives? And you as a player make that phase. You make those decisions. And then you have to play the boots on the ground, so to speak, and live through those decisions. And that's a good way, we believe, to really teach that cyclical nature of these guys may not care, but they see a big picture X, Y, and Z. It's not justifying anything. It's meant to highlight the absolute flaw that war brings when it comes to making human decisions with human lives, and that there's never ever going to be a good scenario in case, oh, everybody just magically, like you guys were able to, which was really interesting, able to repel enemies in a non-violent, at least non-lethal way. And that was really unique. That was really interesting, at least from my perspective. Like, oh man, what do we, you know, okay, well, they just keep pushing them back. And that was really cool. It won't always be that way.
Yeah.
You know, any round of gunfire that you guys dodged could have just, all right, you got your second character, you know, some other squad comes up and, you know, helps reinforce your position. And that interconnectality there is going to be what really branches the narrative of like, okay, now our town is destroyed. What do? Do we just go seeking after more natural resources and just pillage the land to repair our war machine? But you have to fight to do that. So overarching wise, like Tyler's 100% right. You know, our early playtesting of these phases has been extremely successful.
That's very
And
cool.
as soon as we can get that out, I think people will really see the grand narrative.
And just to lay on just that last bit, ecologically, the war or the world itself is at war with all of you who are at war.
Yeah.
So, you know, the land has changed quite a bit. You know, Grift is actually nearly underwater in essence. You know, we were playing on the highland, but you know, in terms of Myrrh, it's submerged the land surrounding this city. You know, mountains have moved and the snows have moved south and all that kind of stuff. The trees are like marching on Galgenbeck essentially, and the more slag we pull, the worse it seems to get.
Very excited about it all. We've got a couple questions in the comments also too that have already come through, but we'll kind of pepper those in as we go. So Chaos, just so you know, I have seen you. Also, thanks Ogremok for the sub over on YouTube, and for Mark for following us over on Facebook also too. We really appreciate that. Following us here, subscribing over on YouTube, all those things always help you know whenever we go live and all the content that we create. Help you find more great games like this one. Let's hop over to Mads first. Mads, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, but also for you, what it was like to step into Farewell to Arms, and then any questions you have for the crew. So who are you? What did you think? What questions do you have?
Okay, so hi, I'm Madeline Colley, Mads for short, she, they pronouns. I run my own YouTube channel, Madeline Colley, and also Madeline Colley on Twitter. And yeah, I mean, I've played straight Mork Borg before, and I mean, I was expecting anywhere between like a really grimdark experience to like absolutely gonzo, because that's how I love to play it. And this was kind of like a you know, more leaning towards the grimdark because of the drama of, well, the war, and like of course the ecological you know, effect that we were having. We didn't quite see it, of course, in our one shot because of like all the stuff happening that we were trying to get through, and then like, you know, chase after the forces that were going to try to come back and invade our home. But I was thinking, you know, a lot of the regular mechanics for MB really worked in with this, and then like the addition of the slag, and like, you know, for like, you know, trying to have resource management, and then doing the whole thing with shock is like very interesting, especially like if it starts coming more into the foreground. We were able to deal with a lot of our the threats slash issues that we were running into as we kept on meeting up with squads and tanks, and then like the final battle for this one shot. What was interesting was, you know, if we had failed more or didn't have as many omens or anything like that to help cover us, I wonder if the configuration would have been like way different. Especially like, and I don't know whether you've had an embedded one in your playtesting before. But I mean, I think it adds that mystical, magical component to it that really, I think, enhances the technology part. And so again, I find that an interesting mechanic as well. I mean, like obviously you have pale ones in regular Mork Borg, but I mean, like, you know, for this particular iteration of the game, I think, again, marrying the technical with the technological with the mystical and magical, just makes for a very interesting combination. I mean, like, you know, you can like literally warp what happens with the battles in each of these phases, I imagine. And then of course having an effect on the world and themselves definitely made it like a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself in this I guess playtest slash you know, playthrough. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and you know, I wish you guys luck with the game, because I mean, obviously it's like chugging along really well, and
Yeah.
you know, so many new additions to what you've already created. So this is awesome.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions you wanted to ask? You're good.
No, because I was bugging them all through the game. It's like, how can I do this? Can I do that? I mean, what does this mean? I don't know.
Feel free to hop in if one comes up. I'm going to throw it in from the chat before we hop over to Quinn. Chaos Conclave wants to know. So this is so my jam over in the chat. Do you have rules for tank combat?
Like in terms of turning your turret and stuff, like
They just said, do you have tank combat? So like, can you get inside of a tank and go pew pew? I guess. Chaos, if you have more questions, feel free to type them in specifically.
Yeah, so kind of like to be blunt, like there is like a stat block for the tank and how this thing in terms of like, oh, is it like I'm rolling to maneuver? Not really. There's not like a core mechanic of like, this is what happens when you get into this machine or that sort of thing. But like, for example, when you guys first approached it, you're like, oh, what are we going to do against this thing? And then you quickly just lit it up and the burn mechanic burns through the armor. And then just, you gave it your all. Like, and if that had gone poorly, then, high risk, high reward. So in that regard, like, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we love is Valkyria Chronicles. And
yes.
So,
How did I not see that until you mentioned it? I feel so dumb.
well, kind of like in that game, you play tactical and all that sort of thing, but like you have like a tank unit and all that sort of jazz. And one of the things that we love and we want to see is kind of having that, like your squad equipment as you go through will evolve. So maybe by the time you're at the end of the campaign, you're spending your slog, you're spending your resources to have that tank. So the answer is sure, but like what we want to do is really demonstrate a lot of the game all at once. And so some of these things that you guys got right off the bat, having this much slog, having this weapon, kind of just gave at you. But like, you have to remember, when you start, these things are earned. So the answer is, yeah, absolutely, because you will see these things and these things will be on your side as well. They make more interesting enemies rather than tools to be used on your side for these types of purposes. But absolutely, there's no reason why it wouldn't be.
Cool. But it would basically be like, hey, if a maneuver requires, if there's something required to maneuver it, you would use your normal character abilities and other stuff like that to kind of just narratively work your way through. Here's how the tank works.
I would say we're not quite there yet. We don't have that yet. We flying machines do have their own kind of special rules right now. And I would assume that tanks will end up with that, but we haven't quite.
You don't know what they are yet.
Gotten to that point yet.
Cool.
No.
Perfect.
Because we haven't introduced it on a player-facing level just yet.
Awesome. Great. Good to know. Okay, so if you got more questions, feel free type them in as we go also too, or go check out the project also too and just follow along as it goes. Quinn, why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what it was like to play Farewell to Arms?
Hi. I'm Quinn. I make games, and I'm slowly learning how to release them. I just released Any%, my tarot-based speed running game, where you use tarot cards to generate a video game level, and then other tarot cards to speed run it. Try to beat it as quick as you can.
Nice.
It's pretty fun. I'm just about to get those test prints. So pretty excited about that. It's over on my itch right now, which is at 200 proof. That's 200 proof.itch.io. Boy, it sure feels good to talk about an actual game in this bit instead of just making a joke about how I don't release them. Wow, that's nice.
Right.
But I had a really good time playing this, and in all honesty, like a better time than I expected, because I love being on these streams. I love playing games with Tony. A lot of times when I'm playing an OSR game, like of any kind, or I know this isn't exactly OSR, but stuff that's a little more, that is a little less story gamey than my usual, it can be hard for me to stay fully in it and to stay fully attentive. And I still enjoy playing them, but still. But I found that this had a much stronger hook on my attention than some of the other games that I've played and tried out. And I think the aesthetics have a lot to do with that. I think, and keep in mind, I've never played Mork Borg or any of its variants before. I know literally nothing about the lore. I had zero vested interest in this going in, right? But what was there and what was provided to me was still really interesting and engaging, and especially, and going back to what you were saying about the embedded one and everything, Mads, like the embedded one probably had a lot to do with how smooth this mission went. You know, especially with the time and everything, being able to reuse the most effective things we're doing. That's incredible. It's crazy.
Mhm.
And that is going to what that's really going to do, because in isolation this was just one smooth mission, right? But then over the course of a game, unless I miss my guess, right, you're always playing different squads of different people. And so what's going to pay dividends is, you know, in the war room thing, you're like, okay, our embedded one is over here. Where are we putting the embedded one? And then you kind of get the sense that, like, you know, when you do more missions with the embedded one, inevitably other characters will die. Probably not the embedded one, though. And so then it kind of turns into this like retinue thing, or they become this really valuable asset that has ramifications for the war room thing and the politics thing. And that's very, very interesting. And so this particular thing that you're talking about after the fact, which I didn't even know was going to be part of the game until you started talking about it, that's actually something that I, as a designer, have always been entranced with. This, you know, whenever I play an RTS and I you know, I'm playing StarCraft and I see a single Marine, in my head I go, that's not one Marine, that's a squad of Marines. You know, because I recognize that there is an abstraction of scale. And so I've always wanted to dig into, how do I de-abstract that scale as much as possible, and how do I experience, you know, both this high level tactical thing and also this boots on the ground, people having to live with the decisions of their superiors in hell. You know, it's something that's always intrigued me, and it's really cool to see you guys attacking it in this way, and then mixed up with all the anti-war stuff and everything is just a really cool package. The class design is smart and evocative. This really seems like something where the pieces are all working together very, very well. It's finely machined. Although I don't know if this is a Mork Borg thing or some part of a design lineage that I'm less familiar with. I will say, D2s feel awkward.
No, I love a
kind of
D2.
sit rolling a D2 personally. I'm like 1, 2, okay. Like, I would just rather have a flat 1 or a flat 2, personally. But like I said, I come from a very different, you know, background of the games that I like to play and the games that I like to design. So that could be completely meaningless. That was just my experience of that in particular.
I will say, if you have 1 hit point in this type of game, having a D2 worth of armor feels like a lot. Even if you have 2 hit points, having a D2 worth of armor feels like a lot, and it's tense every single time you do it.
For armor, I agree. Like for your own self having your own armor, that D2 makes sense there. That's a very, very good point. But definitely, like, dealing damage, I'm less interested in.
I think you're right that it's kind of baked into the
Yeah.
existing system and the lineage of the game.
It is most likely not even close to a problem.
You gotta just drop them on. Don't flip them. You gotta drop them, so at least feels like you roll a dice. Then.
Well, I don't have a coin, so what I was using was my little key fob from birth.
Oh, that's hilarious! Oh my god!
And heads was the side that has my name tag on.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. That's brilliant.
See, if I had a key fob and I was using it as a D2, it'd be, do I go into work today or not? And then
yeah, right. Yeah. Well, like yesterday was my last day, so no. Heads and tails are both no.
Yeah.
Well, just, you know, I mean, every kind of subsystem has their own weird little dice. Like,
Totally.
you know, I was watching something about people playing BattleTech, but instead of, like, you just roll D6s in BattleTech, but they're rolling D12s that are just D6 numbered, like, because it feels better as a roll, I guess. Like, what the hell?
I saw the other day, I saw somebody had D50 tagged on, and I was like, this seems weird. Just roll a D100. Don't do a D50. Mads, you did end up coming up with a question though, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a 2-parter now that I think about it. So I wanted to compliment Josh, for your DMing. I
Yeah.
mean, every single description was very evocative. I was able to um, uh, sink myself into that particular scene. Just like Quinn, I mean, like I'm more of a story gamer, or like more collaborative narrative, where I don't do that much because I don't like to prep, and so therefore it's like I have my players help me, so it's great.
Well, allow me
But
to return the compliment. I know I'm interrupting. I apologize, but you and everyone playing, of course, made it very easy. So in that scenario, I think honestly, the praise should go to you guys in terms of creating your own story in a collaborative setting. So I deeply appreciate it. It warms my heart, but you guys were absolutely phenomenal. So.
Well, I mean, like, also too, I mean, like, given this particular setting, I mean, I'm just wondering whether the descriptions are going to be in the book, because I don't like to spoiler myself if I'm not the GM, or I'm not going to be GMing. So, I mean, like, I did not read the GM section of the Ash Can. So, I mean, like, I didn't know whether these descriptions were in this particular mission, because I think it's very valuable for GM support for somebody like picking up the game, thinking about, like, not only playing it, but like wanting to run their own um, FTA or series or campaign. So that was the first part of it. Like, complimentary, great job for the descriptions, but I'm hoping that they're in the book too, to help out people that want to do this and run their own stuff. And then the second part of my question was how, because I've only done Mork Borg as like one shots or two shots. So, I mean, like in terms of a series or a campaign, because of the danger and the intensity of, oh shit, I only got like 1 hit point, 2 hit points. Oh, better roll up that new character. Like, just have that handy. Like, how do you see this, running as a series, running as a campaign, like, to be able to, again, as you say, like take it through the phases of, like, there's the war room, and then, like, there's the grunts on the ground, like, trying to make sure this shit happens. And then, like, the land changes, the territories change, the battle changes. I mean, like, how do you guys see this coming out?
So I'll just speak to the DMing part, and then I think Tyler can speak really to the campaign books really, really well. But in terms of like the aspect of descriptions being in the book and that sort of thing, like, we're definitely not going to say no. But the flip side is also one of the beautiful things about Mork Borg is like your random items that you can roll. One of them is a heavy chain, and it's very easy to just read heavy chain and then whatever. But I think the thing is, when that person goes to use that chain for whatever they're using it for, it says heavy. And not to be silly, but that word should have a gravitas to it. That one of the beautiful things is keeping things, semi-minimal, and then allowing each individual, runner, DM, or whatever you want to call them, right, to go ahead and extrapolate what that means for their world. So for me personally, like heavy chain, I'm going to the weight of these links between your fingers. You can feel the action as you, I don't know, swing it across the face as you have to kind of like, theatricality it up.
Sure.
So like the way I run, the way Tyler runs, the way we've seen other people run has been different. And we want to preserve whatever DMing heritage they have, or allow them to.
Okay.
But still, obviously, like to your point, there is a very like established narrative that's kind of occurring. And it shouldn't be necessarily on rails, but more of, and this is kind of leading to the campaign books of like, each table is going to be different, and we want everyone to feel welcome at the table with how they want to run it.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you are someone who has looked at the GM section of the book, right, then then we have a mission there, and these are 1 page straight, like, but so generative that you could run it probably 24 times. I haven't done the math, but like a lot. Okay. So it's, but at least, 3 or 4 times where the entire experience is completely different, start to finish. And that's not something we did. We owe that to, I don't know much about the Black Hack, but I know the Mecha Hack did it with their mission manual, and that's where we kind of cribbed it from. And it's amazing. Just a 60-page book with just nonstop missions. It's incredible. And so a lot of like what's happening right now is in that one page. And then all the kind of like higher level thematic ideas of why that might be happening is baked into either the campaign, or we're actually giving a lot of space to these factions, more so than Mork Borg is pretty lets you kind of create the world yourself a little bit. Here we are, pretty specifically saying this is this faction, this is their territory, this is blah 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 about them, and those things will definitely be something that you, to be a successful GM, would need to read the core book and run those missions in that kind of way, to where these factions. And to go to Quinn's point, you actually will be, if you're choosing to use our pre-built campaigns, 4 different factions, 4 different campaign books. You're choosing a faction and you're running that campaign start to finish. You are that same squad, in essence. Doesn't matter how many of you die, how much churn there is. You're that same squad. And so you get promotions, right? So anytime somebody's just like seems unkillable, well, they just disappear in a couple of missions anyway because they got promoted. And that kind of goes back to what I was surprised by tonight, is essentially we're 2 support classes and 2 observer classes, and like just freaking whales on shit. But it was a lot of roles, but also like just a lot of like really kind of intuitive play. And I thought that to me is a successful play, whether we took damage or not, which we should obviously, but sometimes the roles just are beyond what the GM is allowing, can do. So like, to me, that's incredible. Like these two, this esoteric character and this kind of observer character and a creator and a support, and no real specific damage dealers, just fucking went to town. Now, granted, having a big ass flamethrower is pretty bad.
Does help.
Thank goodness we did, because otherwise that would have been shit.
Yeah. I mean, and
Right.
yeah, I mean, I'll pick up. Mads got to it before I did, but I mean, like, I play a good amount of Mork Borg. It's like I really enjoy a lot of parts of it. The desolation aspect of Mork Borg has never struck me hard until I played this game. Like, I don't ever know that I've ever really felt like Mork Borg delivers on the desolation promise so much as it does on the, like, oh, this is, disgusting or deadly or, malformed. But, especially in a one shot, you don't get that right away. A huge part of that, I think, comes from the setting and the themes that y'all are breaking open. But I want to echo, like, Josh, your GMing really helped drive that home and made it then easy to pick up on. This is a theme we're going with. I think there's also something, the further you get away from fantasy, the easier it is to kind of embrace that. And so the added realism of a war that we have at least an intellectual concept of being different from a fantasy encounter is a part of that. But I still think it overwhelmingly come down to that. Like, there is a mother in a hut who will never receive this, and I immediately had like the same exact thought as Mads. Like, I wonder if this stuff is in there anywhere. And what it reminded me of is moments in trophy games, right? So trophy games will have just a list of things you can say are happening in this space or in this theme right now that can help drive those themes. And they're very minimalist, they're very short. But being able to pick one of those and drive it through, or a couple of those and drive it through in a session, like, as much as I think any GM can do that, if y'all can get a D20 list of them and just be like, here are a few things you can weave that then are like, hey, GM, just make your own of these. You don't actually need this. This is just the feather until you learn to fly. Like, I think would be as much as I'm an enemy of scope creep, I actually love it. I think you could really nail it and give people some really good tools, because those pieces added so much to it as far as the emotional heft of things, more than just that the chain is heavy, right? But there is a person somewhere in the world who is affected by the death of this person.
Yeah,
Matters
right.
a whole lot.
Well,
I don't
in
think
the
this
end,
would
it's
be.
here's this heavy chain. Somebody died mining the shit that made this heavy chain.
Right. I mean, it's something that I think for a lot of folks who love story games, it's a very attractive thing to be like, drop in this weird unseen moment thing that we can touchstone back to over and over again. And, you know, OSR Emergent Play does it well. Story gamers know how to track it well. Rarely ever do old school style games document, here's a list of tools that help you do that. Anyways, just as a thought, I just think it's a great thing. But I do think, again, part of it's the system, part of it's the GMing, part of it's the table.
Yeah.
This is the first time I sat down to play it compatible with Mork Borg game and was like, this is the desolation everyone is talking about.
We were responding. I mean, at least I was
Yeah.
responding totally to the human aspect of it. I mean, like you mentioned the mother waiting for the letter. You were mentioning, like, you know, the oh God, what was the other bit?
Here's a guy begging for his life and he gets
Yes, or like, yeah, begging for his life, or like, you know, the slag that somebody died to get, so this way we would have the power, the energy resource to be able to do this, to shoot this weapon in the first place. There were people behind these things. There were souls and bodies that put their life on them.
I just don't think. I mean, I don't know how much of this you've done before, or how much of it's written out versus how much isn't. But I think a lot of what me and Matt were responding to as the story gamers was, I guess, specifically probably your DMing, Josh. And I honestly, like, I can pretty easily see a version of this that I played that I enjoyed maybe a third as much, because it didn't have those things that specifically hooked me in as a player and gave me stuff to engage with. Like, yes, the mechanical stuff, that was fun. I enjoyed building the rocket thing. I enjoyed shooting down the flying guys, you know, but what gets me in is, oh, this guy's begging for his life. And then I'm over here going, okay, how do I lean
I have
in?
one bullet left.
I should have leaned in. You know, like,
So,
if I hadn't had that opportunity, if you hadn't made me that offer, that moment might have just passed with the guy dying, and it would have just been
it's just another thing. So, you know, one thing I do want to speak to that, and I'll keep it brief, but for me, the thing I enjoyed about Mork Borg is like this black doom metal approach, and I think really, really often, to be honest with you, a lot of people. Well, that's kind of a pejorative term, but like I feel like sometimes folks they gloss over that, and the thing that I'm interested in, like I'll listen to Dark Throne on an X, Y, and Z and all that sort of thing. I think culturally there's a lot of sorrow and misery and a lot of just sadness that's actually in those genres of music. And for me, Mork Borg has been like, it's very easy to have a brutal fight. You know, you can have brutal fights in a lot of different systems, and different mechanics will equate to that. I think for me, like in a cultural sense, that sorrow of like this perpetual melancholy, this downtrodden existence, and it's a very dangerous thing, and it's a very real thing that people go through. And I don't want to ever make light of that. But I think when we're in the safe sandbox of a game where this is so completely removed from us, and we're in a bad situation, and trying to talk about these sorts of narratives, I feel it's important. It's kind of like my flavor of thing. Like, I like to walk away from a game. It doesn't matter how many goblins I killed or whatever the case may be, or however many trolls I slayed. It was more of, thank God I'm not that cheesy ass, you know, depressed dude, you know, because there's a beautiful session that we had, and I won't go into the details of it, but like Tyler and we had our private, you know, friends group. And at the end of that, it didn't really matter what combat we rolled. It was just narratively explaining everything. and just going through that. And I walked away and I was like, wow, man, like this system has so much to offer in terms of if you just kind of lean into that human aspect. I appreciate, I'm glad I'm off camera because you guys are making me blush, but really I think it's just about getting in touch with like your roots. Like I've met D&D players, even though I'm not a D&D person anymore, who I've walked away from their sessions just gone like, holy moly, like Roger Ebert said it best, and I'll sum with this. When you sit in front of a good movie, you are concerned with someone else, somewhere else, in a different time, and you get that experience. And that's what role-playing really means to us when we design, is we're focused on how can we give you something that you will never get in real life, and hopefully should never have to deal with in real life when it comes to Mork Borg. But, you know, getting and digging into that, especially with these settings, when you really feel that, you know, anyway, I think I've made my point. I don't want to trail on.
And
Sure.
like I always talk about, I think Chris Bissett for me like kind of sets the bar in a lot of ways. Loot the Room for Mork Borg adventures. They're incredibly singular. They say something really clearly. This is as good as anything I've ever read or played by Chris's, right? And I'm very excited to get the final text and see how it unpacks a lot of what you're really doing, not just the mechanic part, but these narrative and these thematic parts. Because I think it's probably very easy to incarnate this when you're running the game. I think what we're all hitting is like, we're really hopeful that we can see this hit other people's tables and have them not. And I think this is the thing with regular Mork Borg. I think Johan and Pella have written it to do what y'all are talking about. I think a lot of GMs are letting the text do that work rather than bringing it to the table. And so, you know, I think what we're really hoping is the tools are in place for people to bring all the things you're writing to the table. And tools can mean a lot of things, right? Doing an actual play series that you have sprinkled across all the different channels you've been on, doing an ongoing campaign that you can point at and say, this is how Josh and Tyler run and play the game with all these different people, does that as well as putting text into a book, as long as you're intentional about saying, want to see us run things, this is where it's at, this is how we do it. And so, I mean, like I said, that's what I think that was so magical about this experience of play, was y'all really bringing those pieces to bear. Matt, you look like you want to say something.
Real quick, I think, you know, we have a leg up a little bit in that we're choosing very specifically to kind of rewrite the world a little bit, just a little bit, just enough, and to take all those classes. And that's why it was important to me to give many of the classes kind of like separate mechanics, because that, again, like theme is borne out by mechanics in a game.
Yes,
it should be anyway. Not always, but it should be. And so, you know, if I'm like the guy who's taking the record, I shouldn't be some like badass who's like firing a rocket launcher or anything. You know, like, and so he gets next to nothing, and he doesn't really have any special. He doesn't have any special abilities, really. We kind of ignored the one I gave him because it does feel a little overpowered right now, but technically he's supposed to get ignored. He's kind of like Oppum from Saving Private Ryan, right? Like, if you know, just kind of look scared enough, then the guy's not going to even bother to shoot you, right? But did I date myself? That's
I was thinking of Joker, kind of, you know, like when you're in
blank stare. And then, but yeah, so, you know, that's like, he has no real special ability. He's there observing in that's the entire class. And some people aren't going to want to play that class, and I understand that. But I mean, sometimes you roll, you know, an esoteric hermit. You don't want to play an esoteric hermit or whatever, right? Like, you know, it happens. And then you die. You know, maybe you play suboptimally enough to get freaking slaughtered in one go. And then you just roll a new character. But, you know, being able to build that and build the theme into the characters is really, really, really important. And for me, I would never, ever, ever play classless in Mork Borg. And this game, that's just flat out disallowed, technically. I mean, you do what you want, but I mean, it's just doesn't make any sense.
There's a lot of world building and a lot of thematic things you're unpacking within that. And again, I think there's just been a lot of really, and I think this exists within the original text, but just isn't brought to the table a lot. Y'all, I think, are pushing it even further in some of those different areas. Like for me, like playing a support character, and especially for me who loves to throw mechanical things and is a bit of a power gamer, like, oh, here's a thing that lets people choose if they get more omens or power recharges. Like that is a support role, but that is OP to the max. Like I'm 100% picking this weird character who is just going to make things harder for other people and increase our odds dramatically and just start throwing those buttons right away, because in Mork Borg, anything you can do that gives you an edge is immensely helpful, and anything that decreases other people's ability to function is incredibly devastating. And so like even as a support character, you get to feel really important right from the get-go, and it lets us do things like have 1 million freaking omens that we can spend.
Yeah, I mean, what would we
that
have
was
done?
awesome.
What would we have done without all those omens? Holy God, you know.
So
And I loved the embedded one. I mean, and again, I never got a chance to play the
so
pale one
cool.
in regular MB, but I mean, with the embedded one, I felt like I was able to sling magic around because that's what I like to do normally. But also like it had that flavor of kind of like, you know, sci-fi space cosmic, you know, workings and all this kind of stuff. So that was really neat to be
there's
able
an
to throw that.
yeah.
A very otherness to it, and it was really awesome. I mean, didn't have to necessarily be an alien, just had to be like, you know, that kind of mysterious individual that kind of just like, you know, shows up. And then like you were like you guys were talking about earlier, like, you know, in terms of a campaign thing going on, and then Quinn was mentioning, it's like, well, where do you put this asset, like, you know, the embedded one, you know, as you go along. And it's like, well, the embedded one could just as easily like, you know, walk back off the battlefield and say, I'm not doing it anymore. See ya.
Right. I'm going home. Peace.
Going home. All right. Bye.
And I mean, they could just as easily have gotten shot in the face once because they didn't really have any armor, right? Like,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Awesome.
So.
Well, I had a blast. If you want to find out more about the game, you want to check out the Ashcan over on it. Go to ttrpg.link/farewellgame. It's right below Tyler's face. It's also linked in the description of this video. Share this video with other people. If you love indie games, you want to help support indie creators, give our channel a follow either here on Twitch or over on YouTube. Where in addition to all of our actual plays from the past, we do workshops, short videos, reviews of systems as they're coming out, all kinds of other things to help people discover indie games. That's what we're passionate about here about at Plus One. Speaking of which, a new show that we're adding to the lineup that's going to be starting probably very beginning of next month, if not right at the end of this month, is Take Flight with Kat McDonald. I'm very excited about this one. Kat's been tweeting out about it. We have 4 shows that we're starting to schedule out right now, but it is basically a co-pilot and a pilot, a game creator, and somebody who's experienced creating games of that type, sitting down for 90 minutes with their flight attendant, Kat, to talk about how that emerging creator can do their best job to help their game take off and launch. So we're really excited to connect those experienced designers with people who are trying a new design space or entering into RPG design for the first time. If you're interested in that show, again, hit subscribe or follow. But if you want to be a guest on it, if you have a game coming up, or if you're an experienced designer of some kind, have you put out a couple of games or even a game that's, you know, that you feel really confident about your ability to help other people do the same, reach out to us. Let us know over on Twitter or on social media, and we will make sure that we get you on the list of guests. We already have a ton of people who signed up, but we're always going to be looking for more voices for that. That'll be a bi-weekly show every Thursday, starting either very late this month or early next month. We'll let you know. Keep an eye out on social media for all that. Matt Colley, thank you for the Prime subscribe. We really appreciate that also too. But with that said, we've never figured out a good way to end this show, and at this point, we're not interested in trying. Until next time, we're just going to wave at the camera until I take us off air.
I'm waving. You can't see me. I'm waving.
Bye, everybody.